Welcome to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, Big E here. Pleased to be joined by my friend, fellow SYP creator, Ravisher Dollywall. Rav,
Yo,
what's going on? What's new? What's happening?
man, nothing really. I'm trying. It's been the same for the past month. I'm stressing about my passport and I'm hot in my room. Regardless of the temperature, it's 35 degrees in here on a good day. It says 30, 34 right now. I'm hoping it's going down.
34 Celsius for our American listeners is like high 90s. No, it's like low 90s, I should say.
It is 93.2.
Yeah. It was funny. I was having this conversation with someone today about how, like, in the real world, this is when like the World Cup would be being played right now.
Yeah, but then they did the scam thing, or not the. I guess this. Yeah, I'll call it the scam thing, where they where they just gave it to fucking Qatar. I can't wait for all the British fans to want to get drunk there, and then they are so shut down when they get there. I feel so bad because there's gonna be so many people that don't know.
All the people from Liverpool who are making their way down, and they're just gonna be absolutely like it might be a war. Might be the closest thing to a war, I think, in terms of just battle. It's we're doing this on the night of July 27th. We're doing a free agency pod, not a free agency pod, an NHL offseason kind of recap. Yeah, we're gonna go through each team. We're gonna talk about each team. We're gonna talk about each team more than other teams because some teams haven't done shit. Some teams haven't done anything.
Yeah, but
I'm talking about you, Lou Lamorello, who listens to this podcast.
And obviously, we still have people who haven't signed, like Subban, Kessel,
Bergeron. That's why we're doing this podcast now, because finally the big fish, got caught in Ryan Donato, who re-signed with Seattle. So, fortunately he was able to sign. So now we can do this podcast because we were all waiting on the Donato sighting.
We were definitely all waiting on Chara as well, and DeKaiser. Chara and DeKaiser mainly for me, but I guess we could do it anyways without him.
Well, the tough part is that what I'm worried about, because Noah Dobson is somehow getting his name thrown around in like Vancouver trade rumors, and
I would love that.
I would love it so much, but it's just like it's not happening. But
Myers and Miller straight up for Dobson, please, please do it.
God. Anyway, so basically, by the time this probably comes out, there might be some news signings or moves. But since it's a bit of a lull period, why not just do this pod now?
I'll have Elliott's Twitter up in case.
He's at the cottage. That's what we're going to talk about that later on.
Frank Vanelli will be the next.
Frank Sarah Tortellini or whatever.
Saravelli. What is this? What do you have? Some news on Klingberg. So we're just gonna do a recap on each team. I guess we can grade them as well.
Each team, grade them, and then we'll have some other stuff later on. We might even do a game show. I don't think anybody sent anything for the mailbag, which is great. By the way, for those who are watching on our YouTube channel, I'm wearing my Tkachuk Blasty jersey.
I got a Subban jersey because that's the best free agent left.
So is he?
No. So I'm joking.
I think you should stand by that take. I think.
Okay, I will. I will put the Red. I should change the Red Wings jersey to Sherratt from Datsuk.
I think Steve Yzerman should just sign Subban just because he hasn't had enough. He hasn't got enough defensemen. He hasn't signed enough sub NHL defensemen. Although some would argue he got Ben Sherratt, so that's the closest.
Got Branson too.
Well, yeah, exactly. All right, so let's go through each team. We'll go alphabetical.
Okay.
Let's start with Anaheim, the Anaheim Ducks. Scott's not on here, so you can more or less roast it out of the Ducks if you want, but I don't think there's really anything to note. I mean, probably their biggest move was adding Ryan Strome.
I'd say Ryan Strome. They got I think Ryan Strome and Vetrano are good replacements for Getzlaf and Milano because I'm assuming that's where they're gonna play. Vetrano played really high up in the lineup for the Rangers and it worked. Obviously, because he was on the first line was Zibanejad and Kreider most of the time.
It's kind of too bad for Toronto because I feel like he was a perfect Ranger because it was just his name was
Oh
Frank
yeah,
and his name was Frank and like Toronto just feels
I
like a
know.
New York name.
He was such a good player for him too. He just looked like a Ranger, man. Really looked like a Ranger.
He did, and I said to Scott when the Strome signing happened, I said to him like, you can have top line centers without the first name Ryan, right?
Yeah, dude, no, you can't. I'm assuming Daily Faceoff has as Henrique Seacrest, Terry, McTavish, Strome, Vetrano, Comtois, Lundestrom, Silverberg, which is deceptively deep, but you're kind of, I don't know if you're missing the star. You hope, I mean, Terry was one last year, and Zegras, you hope he can go up another level. But I mean, Ducks are deceptively getting better. Like I think Pat Verbeek's doing a good job right now, I'd say, considering everything that's happened in the past few years.
Well, I'm kind of curious to see how would I like they're rebuilding, but like how deep of a rebuild do they want to do?
Yeah,
Like
because
is John Gibson potentially on the move? Or do they just kind of go get a couple more guys and maybe be a contender for a wild card spot next year?
their forward core is pretty deep, like considering like I guess considering their points in their place in the standings last year, they have a pretty decent forward core. I think it's the defense part, which is obviously the most lacking. Cam Fowler, probably their main guy. Drysdale's a bit overrated for what I think everyone thinks he can be. I think everyone thinks he's much better than he is, but he hasn't really showed it yet at the NHL level. Shattenkirk, it's Simon or Simone Benoit, and then Vakanainen and Mahura. You gotta. That's not gonna go to the. That's not gonna win you any playoff games. If we're being honest, that's gonna be taken. That's gonna be so bad when the fucking Ducks win the cup next year. But yeah, I think they're going good with the like I guess retool because they're losing Getzlaff, but they still got like the main pieces like Henrique and I guess Terry who've been here for a bit now.
Yeah. So I mean, nothing major, but they didn't need to do anything major.
Yeah, I gave Pat Verbeek and crew a B plus here, which might be a bit too much, but I think they didn't really have to do much. I think they're in this retool where like I think if they don't make the playoffs this year, it's not the end of the world. Maybe next year it's the point where it's like, hey, this might be something we might need to change up here, right? With at least with Pat Verbeek and company.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird mix of like they have guys who I think are good.
I don't even is Cam locked up for a bit. I think I don't know if Cam Fowler is locked up. He is. Yes, he is. 4 more years.
Okay. Yeah, I think the team's got some good pieces. It's just a matter of like trying to fill out the rest of the roster, if that makes sense. You kind of balance some of
I really like the Lundestrom move to get him for was it 2 or 3 years, 2 years at 1.8. That's a good move. He had a really good start to the season. It kind of tapered off, but he was still good.
Well, and you'll love the I think just today, the Oli Olevi signing.
Yeah, I wrote that down here. I didn't want to say it, but you brought it up. I hope it works for him. He might play in Simon Benoit Mahuro spot, maybe even Vakanainen's.
Well, I mean, like the prospect pool is still pretty good too.
Yeah, McTavish. They got. Oh my God, how am I forgetting his name? I forgot his name right now, but it'll come to me later.
They
defenseman guy.
Well, they let Sam Steele and Sonny Milano more or less walk this offseason. Yeah. But they got Drew Hellison, who they got from Colorado. That was part of the Manson deal. My guy, my boy, Olen Zellweger.
Yeah, him. He is such a good prospect. He's one of the best.
So yeah, I think I have them like a B. Like I think they're fine.
That's why. Yeah, it's like a good, but I give them just a B plus just because I'm happy that they didn't overdo their overreach what like they needed to do. I think they kept it what they should have.
Let's do the Arizona Coyotes.
So with the Coyotes, I guess they're still in the place of getting picks. That's like they're just we're gonna go on this big rebuild, and that's all they're focusing on right now, right?
I mean, yeah, they
have 23 million cap space.
They added Nick Bjugstad, Josh Brown. I actually like
next year. Dame Lillard will make more than the Coyotes are making this year.
Here's the thing. I like the Cassian trade for them as well, in the fact because I love the idea for Arizona?
I want to see this lineup. So I have it's Schmaltz, Boyd, Keller.
Oh,
Boyd. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
oh.
That like it could be the third line looking like Nathan Smith, Nick Ritchie, Zach Cassian, which looks like hell. Looks like hell.
The 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 Coyotes, yeah.
So some of the moves include the Cassian trade. I think one that I really did like, I think it's a good one. Was the Geeky move to move up. I think it worked for both sides because I think Coyotes Geeky's a pretty good pick. And
Yeah.
I know they gave up a lot to get him. It was a 27th, 34th, and a 45th overall pick. That's a lot, right? That's three like high quality picks. But if you're getting a guy like Connor Geeky, and the Arizona has they're reaching a decent prospect pool now. There was nothing like 2 years ago, but they're getting a bit better. So I mean, they also got who was it? Maverick they got, I forgot his name, Maverick Lamoureux. They got him too.
Yeah.
They got the Cassian deal. I think they're doing a good job. They took on some bad contracts. They got Stetcher, right? Obviously, you have to give them a bit for that. They got Troy Stetcher. They got Namath in.
I know
they're doing yeah.
I wanted to say I like the idea of Cassian going to Arizona purely because of the fact you're going to be playing in front of college kids, and I can't think of a better way to recruit long-term college fans to root for your team than by having Zach Cassian on it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Troy Stetcher is on the Coyotes. To which
I hope he gets to play with Chicken or Gostisbehere, and then he gets some of that boost for the trade deadline and go somewhere good because he's a good defenseman in the playoffs, man. He's always scoring goals.
I don't know if you saw the graphic Dmitry Filipovich of EP Rinkside posted today.
No, I didn't see it. What was it?
It's a really bad one. I'll show you the tweet here. It does not put my boy Troy in a good light here. But I mean, with Arizona, it's kind of like they're building for the future. They still have Clayton Keller and Jacob Chychrun to move if they want to move him.
Yeah. Sorry, the line would be there's a possible line of Liam O'Brien, Zach Cassian, Nick Ritchie, which sounds like that's hell. That is hell. And I've seen the Troy Stetcher image, yes. So Namath and Stetcher is also a pairing, which is the bottom left. I just realized that we have the worst zone entry defense in the league, so that could also happen.
So
Dustin Hall is a brick wall apparently. Okay.
Well, the McDavid stopper. What's funny is that if you look at this graphic, which is again, as Rav said, minimum 3 games in the past postseason, 5-on-5 defenseman, zone entry defense. Troy Stetcher and Patrick Nemeth were both basically open doors.
I didn't see that much of Stetcher. I saw it with Namath. I've seen it for 2 years with Namath in the playoffs. He's been an absolutely free show, bro. That guy.
I've seen it with Duncan Keith. And the other funny thing, so Stetcher, Namath, also not quite as bad as those guys, but still in that same quadrant. Nick Jensen and John Merrill. So the Red Wings and Ben Sherratt.
Branson also, I think, got skewed because there's some games where McDavid made him look like a pylon, though.
But he is a pylon. What do you have the Coyotes grade for this offseason?
I might be a bit harsh. I gave him a B-.
I think that's what I had them as. Yeah,
I think it's fine for what it's worth. I think it's the fact that they haven't moved some of these guys. We'll see later on. You never know. You can move some of these guys at the trade deadline, and it'll look better for them. But yeah, for what it's like, I think it's a fine move. I think you get something for Gostisbehere at the deadline for sure, though.
They're trying to. Their goal is to get Bedard next season.
Yeah, dude. See, it looks like Philly is doing the same. Okay, I'll stop. Okay, let's go to Bruins, Boston Bruins.
All right, we're gonna do the Bruins now.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to Boston. So they had a decently large deal where they got Pavel Zacha for Holla, which I think is a good move for them.
That seems like an upgrade.
Yeah, that's 100% upgrade. They don't have him signed yet. Also, another guy who's not really an RFA, but he is Bergeron. You haven't signed him yet. I don't know what that they're doing with that as well. Stud Mika they signed, which could be something. I think on I don't know how accurate daily faceoff's going to be. He's on the first line here, I think, or the second. That's also because they don't have anyone. Then they have Zaka, Coyle, Nosek. Pretty weak up the middle in Boston, I think.
It was already weak with, you could argue, Krejci and Bergeron. Like, it was kind of weak in terms of like they like outside of those guys they didn't have anybody. Now those guys are gone and they don't have anybody.
They have $5 million left to get Zaka, Bergeron, and possibly Krejci too, because there's rumblings of him returning. You got to move like Coyle, but he has a no move clause, I think, and I don't know how that's gonna. I don't know how that is. I think it's like 18 or something, but yeah, this is gonna be tough here for Mr. Sweeney. Then again, like there wasn't really much they could do because they're pretty cap strapped, especially because they want to sign these guys. The really only guy they signed that might get NHL time is Vinny Lettieri. They haven't really done much trades wise. They've done absolutely nothing. It's pretty boring out in Boston besides the Zaka trade, really.
I mean, with the Bruins, I feel like they're a team. They're a team that's made its commitments. I think they're still probably a wild card team considering how good their defense and probably how good their goaltending is.
You probably also, I think this is probably your last year in this window with Marchand and Bergeron. If Bergeron signs, I'm assuming it's a 1-year deal. And then, you never know with Pastrnak, he's up next year. And then most of your bottom six is up next year. Yeah. I don't know. There's obviously you have McAvoy and Lindholm for so long, so you might just try and force it the way Pittsburgh does and make it work. But I don't know. And you also have to sign Swayman. You don't know. We don't know what they're going to do with that. If you're going to get Swayman, you're probably trading Allmark. You're not going to keep two goalies at probably 10+ million combined, right?
No, I would think not.
Yeah. Yeah, not much for Boston. I don't also like them firing Cassidy for Jim Montgomery.
No, that was a weird move.
That wasn't really needed. That's because they went to Game 7 with Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. That was that like they won every game at home that series and almost the next for Carolina. Yeah, it's.
I don't feel like he was the reason that they lost that series. I just feel like Carolina was a better team.
Was he the coach when they made it to the final, or am I just not like?
Yeah, when they against St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the coach for that team.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I don't know. They're kind of cap strapped, especially with that Lindholm deal. I won't lie. That Lindholm deal is a bit rough, I think, for him. Not to say he doesn't deserve the money. He's a really good defenseman. I don't know if it was in Boston's best interest to do that trade and deal. I think it's. I don't know. It's rough, right? Because you want to sign Pastrnak and Bergeron at least for probably another 2. You probably want like best case scenario for Boston is you get like a Gino deal with Bergeron. Like a 4x5.
Yeah,
you're not really. That's what you're hoping for.
Well, with Lindholm, it's like that. I don't know. That established this kind of win now precedent with them. Like we're going all in, and now it's a little sketchy. It's a little weird. So we'll see. I
obviously I hate the Bruins as a Canucks fan, but I really hope to see like Bergeron get like another chance at it because he deserves it. The guy is such a fun player to watch.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give them a C.
I have exactly a C here as well.
I was gonna say C or C plus, but I'll give it a C plus because I'm nicer.
Yeah, I'm not. I hate them. Buffalo, team in a rebuild. There's
good vibes in Buffalo.
There is good vibes though. I don't know if the offseason has been the best, but like, what can you do in this day and age with a team like that?
Hey, don't sell Ilya Lyubushkin short like that, brother.
Okay, that's one of my points here. So I like so they signed Hinostroza. Like I'm gonna give you the main ones, right? Hinostroza, Bryson, Kale Clague, like that. Eric Comrie. They always have like so many backup goalies. Like they have like 7 each year.
They can't sign a starter, but they can sign backups. The Buffalo Sabres.
I like Olsen too. I know analytically he's not the best, but like he had a good start to the season. It really tapered off towards then, but yeah. And then they're gonna have guys like Quinn and Samuelson and Power come up this year. You probably see Samuelson and Power in the top 4. I don't like Lyubushkin. I don't think he fits in there. I think it's probably because they gave him the most money, like 2.6. or whatever he's getting, but I don't like it necessarily. I don't think he fits in that for that team. I think it's just like they just gave him the most money and he's staying there.
I
I
mean,
don't really understand it. Maybe he's like, yeah, I don't know. There's nothing in my head that like sees why he's there. Subban signed the best anthem singer in the world.
I just want to say I thought it was really funny how Craig Anderson was brought in to like intentionally be bad for the Sabres goalie situation last year. And then he actually finished on like a bit of a high note and he was good enough that they wanted to bring back. I just wanted to say that.
I think Cody Hodgson's last year on the contract this year. That's the last year dead caps this year for him. Ben Bishop's on LTIR. Well, yeah, they have a good few good things to look at. They have like Quinn, Krebs, Cousins. You got a bunch of young guys. You obviously hope Casey Middlestat works out some way. You got an extension this year, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, you hope it works out for him. I just really don't understand
Cody,
I wrote why Labushkin twice on my thing.
Cody fucking Hodgson.
Remember Hodgson for Cassian trade? That was
real,
a different era.
Real ones, no. Real ones.
I stayed home that day and I was like, wow, this is what a trade is to me, man.
What do you have as a grade for the Sabres?
Again, I feel like I'm being harsh. I gave him a C plus. Sorry, C plus. I'm not that mean. I gave him a C plus. I think it's mainly because of the Labushkin thing. I don't understand how that works. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe he's just horrible, but I think he's somewhat okay.
I have him getting a B minus. Like it's fine.
Yeah, B minus C plus around that range is good.
The Sabres are a classic case of like team that had like decent second half or like momentum to end the year, so you're feeling good about that team, and now it's like, can they make that happen for a full season? And nobody's sure. The other thing is that I think everybody around the Sabres got better.
Yeah.
Outside of Montreal, I think everybody in that same situation got better. So that maybe makes things interesting.
Calgary.
I'm wearing their jersey.
So they have a few moves. Obviously, the big one. We'll talk about that. They got like Zadorov back, which is 2 by 3.5. No, 3.75. They got Trevor Lewis back, and they signed Kevin Rooney 2 years, 1.3 AAV, like Matthew Phillips and a few other guys like Dansk and stuff. But obviously, the main one is the jersey you're wearing right now, the Matt Tkachuk jersey.
And like I said during the playoffs, as we all know, Zadorov is Russian for Gaudreau.
Yeah.
So
that's why they let him go. Actually, that's actually the main reason they let Johnny Gaudreau go.
That's why Tree Living was comfortable letting Gaudreau walk, was because he has a Russian Gaudreau and his name is Zadorov.
Rough start for Tree Living. Hey, like you lose Gaudreau, and then you get Tkachuk saying, "Hey, get me out of here." Like, or not get me out of here, but he's like, "I'm not signing with you guys for more than like 3-4 years." Probably is what
he's not doing a long-term deal.
Yeah, he's like 3 years and I'm out, which is, dude, fair play, man. Fair play. I don't know. I mean, I'm just being mean to Calgary. Calgary's actually a fairly nice city, but I don't know. Maybe if you're American, you want to go back. I think all the teams he chose were American too. The ones he signed.
So we could talk about this with the Blue Jackets as well. I think there's something to be said for just America. I kind of want to bring the hot take back of like guys don't want to play in Canada, but I do think it's more just American players don't want to play in Canada. And if you listen to what Johnny and what people have said about Gaudreau through the whole process, like his wife is pregnant, she's a nurse. They want to be somewhere where they, in a good hospital and good schools, for their kid and whatnot. And maybe more kids. I don't know. Maybe they're going to have more. But this just sounded like a case of like a dude who just wanted to go back to the States, play in the States, not play in Canada, be maybe not totally closer, but somewhat closer to his family. And Calgary was just none of those things.
Yeah. I think Canadians don't understand that people like don't like Canada. I think it's just like you grow up in America, you like America more. That's like when I grew up in Canada. It's like, why would you want to go back to the States? But then I guess the same thing the other way, where it's like, why would you want to go back to, or like I guess
why would you want to play in Canada when you can like it's an American league? Like it's it's kind of tough to explain, like, as someone who's a dual citizen who has worked for a hockey team in the states and has visited the states frequently. It's like it's a bit of it's a culture change. Like,
It is.
you don't know until you know. That being said, I I don't know if he made up entirely for letting Goudreau walk, but that Kachuk trade was about as good as they were gonna get.
Yeah, I
For
was genuinely thinking they got a first and a prospect and they call it a day and that's it. I did not think Huberto. I saw the phone and say Huberto Uyghur first prospect. Like, there's no way, right?
Well,
Insane.
and especially if I'm trying to think of what NHL 15 when like you got two Blackberries.
Oh no, I think all those games before that actually, like NHL 10 to like 14, all had Blackberries.
NHL 14 and like Tree Lemons getting a call on a second Blackberry, and
Yeah,
it's
and he gets that.
Bill Zito in Florida, like Huberto, Uyghur, Cole Schwint, and
Yeah, I just have Cole Schwint, bad words, public enemy number one, as on here. And then I just have a few other points, I guess, like just regarding this. It's like I'm assuming they probably knew Huberto, but it's weird because Huberto said like so the thing is, my thought process is like Huberto like was probably gonna walk. Same with Uyghur. Uyghur, there's always been like stuff about him going to Ottawa and stuff. But then Huberto, there wasn't really much. And then he was caught off guard by it apparently. So like, and I guess I don't know if he explicitly said to them that he wanted to leave, but I'm assuming that's the main reason. Or maybe just the Panthers didn't know and they're like, hey, this guy will stay with us. He publicly said he would, and then he did. First ever signed and trade in NHL history, by the way.
which I was surprised by that because I thought, do you like I'm maybe dating myself when I say this. Do you remember when Jarl Halak was traded from Montreal to Washington? No, who was he traded to?
Is this St. Louis? He did play for.
Might have been St. Louis. Like, after, because remember when Montreal like had that surprise run in the postseason? It was like Halak
Yeah.
and Carey Price, and then
Yeah.
like I think it was the year after or whatever when they had to make a decision. It might have been St. Louis. I'm pulling it up now.
I know Halak did go to St. Louis and played there for a starter for a while, but yeah. While you're looking that up, I think the Flames absolutely fleeced them. I think it comes down to whether they. That also makes up for a lot of the bullshit they had to deal with this offseason. But I'm hoping. Well, I think they both said publicly that they're open to re-signing. I don't think they would say that they weren't publicly, but at least they said they would, which is obviously a positive thing.
I don't know why you wouldn't at least re-sign Huberto, because I think Huberto has shown a track record of success to be a number one, like a top line, top forward on an NHL team.
I mean, Uyghur has been too. People just give him shit for like a few mistakes in the playoffs. Obviously, one cost him the game, but like, guys, like he's up. He's probably as good as Ekblad some games. I don't know if you can. I don't think he's as valuable as Ekblad is, but he's a good defensive partner with him. I don't think they have Tanev. What is it? Do they have Hanifin and Anderson? No, they do have Uyghur Tanev. That's a pretty good shutdown pairing, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Calgary might, like, assuming they re-sign Shillington.
Shillington and Mangiapane, right? Like that's the.
I think those are the two guys that are missing. But I was gonna say at least from like Shillington, if they can re-sign him, that's one.
Zadorov's a pretty good bottom pairing.
That's a really good decor. Like, you're not gonna find many decors better than Calgary's, assuming they can re-sign Shillington.
Yeah, that's the main one. I hope they don't, obviously, because I hate them. But like, was Lucic still? Damn, Lucic still one more year. They got him. That's
tough.
Yeah. So right now, Jonathan Huberdeau is also the most paid player on the team. Never mind, Markstrom is, but he's second, right behind him, 100K less.
I thought Monahan was.
He is, I think, but he's not on here. I don't see him. Oh, he's injured reserve. That's why
he's on LTIR.
Yeah, but considering he comes back next year, he's probably a third line center. Hoping it works out for him, and then you might get Peltier up. You never, I don't know, Jacob Peltier, will he come up? But
Peltier maybe a bigger role for Dylan Dubé.
Yeah, you hope Mangiapane comes back at Shillington. I think Valimacky's still under contract. He was mostly a healthy scratch. I only signed Nicholas Malak, but I doubt he's playing. But I gave him a B-. I think it was definitely going to be in the lower C's, but that Huberdeau trade definitely brought him up like a whole grade.
So what's your final grade for the Flames?
Should I be B? I'll give him a B. A B- is too harsh. B. I think I was going to give him a C before, but that a B is probably better. You probably have an A+ or something.
No, I'm gonna do a B minus. Like, I like Kachuk. The problem is that you can't for that return. You can't say no.
Yeah, especially if a guy's publicly said, "I don't want to be with you guys," right? Like
Yeah.
you got to do it.
So I think that's a B minus. I think the Flames are. I think they're well set up.
I think one or two moves that can make him a contender, though. I can genuinely believe like one or two moves could make him a contender again.
Shillington, Mangiapane, the Kadri thing again just seems so obvious. Like he would be like it's such an obvious fit for him to go.
They have space for him too, right? I think they have a bit of space left for him. They could probably move a guy and get him in, right?
If he wants to go play in Calgary, like
Connor Zary, you never know. I doubt
Connor Zary's another great guy. Like that,
he can move him as well for if you want to get someone else. I don't know. There's a bunch of guys. I know there's a few other guys down here they could play. Yeah, Dustin Wolf as the backup. We trade away Vladar.
Yeah, no, like I was about to say, like I'd love to see Dustin Wolf get some time in the NHL this upcoming season if they can make it happen. I mean,
yeah,
who knows?
I give him a B minus is good.
And again, in case it wasn't clear, we all hate Cole Schwindt.
Yeah, public enemy number one. I won't say. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough.
If you know, if you know, you know. So that there you go. There's Calgary. Carolina Hurricanes.
I think they have some moves still. They still have Natchez. They still have they signed Bear today. What was it? 2.25?
2.75?
Here it is. I can just pull it up right there. I have cap friendly, but I'm lazy. 2.2 million dollars. They still have Chatfield for 2 years. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, pretty good defensive.
Chatfield is a Hurricane.
Next 2 years, he was playing last year when there. And I think one of those guys were injured. No major trades besides the Patcher ready. Or actually, no, there's two major trades. I don't know why they're not popping up here.
There's two.
There's two that are not popping up for me. But yeah, the trades are the Burns trade and the Patcher ready one. Yeah, and the Tony DeAngelo one, I guess. But well, I'll get to that when we get to Philly. Yeah. So obviously, I like the Patch ready trade, obviously, because you're getting one of the best snipers in the league for free. Why wouldn't you take that? The Burns move's pretty out there, but 5.2 for, I know he's 37, but that's a guy who will still so good. He's not as good as he once was, but that's a guy who can definitely be like a really good top four defenseman. And 5.2 isn't necessarily an overpay for that sort of player.
Burns is essentially your Tony DeAngelo replacement, which I would rather, I think, have Burns at 5.28 or whatever it is than
Tony at 5, because Burns can hold his own on the defense side. I know he's older, but Burns at 50 years old is probably better than Tony in his prime.
And he's presumably not racist.
Yeah, presumably. He looks nice and he's an actor.
Yeah, so I think, and I mean, the Tony thing I think was kind of just a 1 year. I don't know if Tony DeAngelo was ever going to be in the long-term plans for the Hurricanes because he was going to command a decent salary. So I think that made sense.
The $1 million was a good deal. That was a really good low risk deal for him. That you can't, and you even got assets back for him. Like whatever you got, anything.
You got way more. You got way more than you should have for Tony DeAngelo.
Essentially, this year is probably I shouldn't say this year's the last year of this window, but like this, like their best chance at it, right? I would say like your Freddie's up. What's his name? Pacioretty's up. Stahl's up. Yeah, that I don't know. Maybe you got Aho, Svechnikov. You probably got to do a bit of a retool after this. You're losing a bunch of your guys. I mean, they have a pretty good defensive core set, but maybe I don't know. You probably do want to offload Jordan Stahl. I know he's a captain, but come on, $6 million for him. What he's doing, it's not worth it.
What's one of the moves I forgot as well this offseason was Kotkaniemi getting his extension for like 8 years.
8 years at 4.82. That's another one I don't understand that much, but I guess Don Waddell is still mad over the Daho situation, I guess, which whatever.
It's a fine cap hit. Like, okay, sure, but like,
shout out to Kotkaniemi, bro. Absolute world-class finesser, by the way.
Yeah, and and you know what? Here, here he is in Carolina, and he's going to be a Hurricane for presumably 8 years.
I would assume a bit of a retool here if they don't go really far. If they go far, I would see some of these guys coming back. I would see probably you could see Pacioretty coming back for a bit less. You could probably see Anderson coming back for around 5-6. I think maybe I've been jumping the gun on the retool here, but there definitely will be a change. Obviously, they probably have to sign Seth Jarvis here soon. Natchez, I want to get to. He's not signed, so I'm thinking. I don't know, the defensive core in Carolina. I don't really understand too much. They have Gardner's returning next year, most likely. He signed Bear to 2.1. Guy who's healthy scratch the whole playoffs and didn't. He played like 50 games of the season, and you got Dylan Coghlan, right? That you got you're putting $6 to $7 million in your bottom pairing. I don't know if that's necessarily the best play here. I do have one trade. Like I have a backseat. I wrote backseat GM, armchair GM move. Brady Shea has a 10-team no trade list, so maybe that's a trade you see. He's 28. He's only making 5.2. He's on the younger end, but he's still like a top 4 defenseman. You get something back for him on the forward end or maybe on the defensive end too. I don't know.
Trade him to Vancouver. Trade him to Vancouver.
Sorry, lag. Yeah, trade him to Vancouver. Okay, maybe not that. Maybe would I even do Brady Shea for Myers straight up? I don't think I would at this point. I don't think I would, man. Fuck. I'm fine with Myers. I think the Carolina's done a pretty good job, and they got cash out, which for cheap. He was such a big part of the Leafs. Obviously, you're already signing him to 1.5. So it's not, you can't really complain about that.
Cash was like the biggest when healthy.
He's good, man. It's just unfortunate the health issues. You sign Natchez, this team can run it back for sure. They can. I think
if you sign Natchez, it's an A.
Which I think they will. Like they have $2 million, they can probably trade. You'd probably trade one of those defensive guys. I'm feeling it's got to be Jake Gardner, right? Because I think it's a 17 no trade list. It's Natchez a Shea in my opinion, but I don't know. Maybe he trades the captain for nothing or something. Who knows?
I think you probably get a decent offer for Gardner because I feel like that's a name that NHL GMs know, and they would trade. Even considering the injury history, they would.
Lou Lamoriello will trade.
Hell yeah! There we go.
Yeah, Romanov 1-for-1. It's 1-for-1 for sure.
There you go. What's your trade grade for the Hurricanes?
I give him a B. I could see it going to a B plus though, or probably an A if they get Natchez for a decent deal. Even if it's a bridge or like 1 year, I don't know. I don't think he's scheduled for arbitration. No, he isn't. But yeah, I think it's fine.
I have a B plus for the Hurricanes, and the problem for them is just getting over the second round, like getting into the conference final.
All close this year, but Philip Hedl had other plans, unfortunately, and for obviously the Anderson injury. I think you keep Freddie in there. He doesn't outduel Shesterkin. Not many. I don't think anyone really can. Maybe obviously Vasilevsky did, but I think I think it might be a bit different. And obviously, Ranta got injured in the last game. You throw out the 22-year-old out to the Wolves in Game 7, which is rough.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Blackhawks.
Yeah. So they have Kurashev and Caleb Jones unsigned. A few trades they made were the Mrazek one. I like that for me too. I mean, at this point, I think they've said like 4 or 5 years rebuilding, and like I think it came out today that Taves was like, yeah, I don't really want to be here 4 or 5 years waiting. So I guess him and Kane are up. They're going on a full rebuild. They signed some notable players, Domi, Athanasiou, Blackwell. They brought in competent players, which they lack. That's what I have. I like the Kirby Doc trade. I'll say it. I've been back and forth on it. It's not, there's so much upside, right, with Kirby Doc, but it's just not worked out there. And maybe a different, obviously you just hope like a change of scenery works. And you get Frank Nazar. That's a pretty good trade, I think, for both sides. The Brinket is rough. Is Korchinski is he a Silvertip, or I'm being stupid?
No, he's Seattle Thunderbird.
Thunderbird, that's what I missed.
So I actually hate his guts so much because
Yeah, that's a rough trade. I'll be honest, that is a pretty rough trade. I know you wanted to draft. Kyle Davidson made it a point he wants to draft top 10, which is fair. Kevin Korchinski. I know this draft is all over the place. It is one of the more wilder drafts, I think, of recent memory, but I don't like that trade at all. I don't think anyone, if you're a Blackhawks fan, you're probably pissed. I know the Chicago Instagram page commented on the Blackhawks page, like, what the hell are you doing? But yeah, I don't mind it. You could probably get a bunch of guys moving. You're probably gonna get it. You could probably get some stuff for Kane at the trade deadline this year too.
You know what? You know what's funny is I can't remember. I'm thinking. I think I heard this from like 32 Thoughts when Buffalo was going through their GM change with Kevin Adams, and they were discussing about how it's difficult for new GMs to make trades because they don't have contacts, they don't have the connections that more veteran GMs do.
Yeah,
and that's why Kevin Adams was going to struggle, and maybe that's the excuse you can make for Kyle Davidson losing to the Brinkat trade and
losing their best player for a first, like a 7th overall pick, essentially.
Losing to the Brinkat trade and arguably losing the Doc trade.
You could argue that. I give Frank Nazar a chance. He's a really good prospect from what I've seen. He's very. I like his confidence as well.
He also seemed very enthusiastic to go to the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I like that sort of stuff. No, I actually do. I think that means a lot. That's why I think that's why a big reason I think is why Hughes selected Slavkovsky over Wright or Nemec or whoever else.
Well, I was gonna say, to have enthusiasm to play for the Chicago Blackhawks in the year 2022 really really means something.
He is from Mount Clemens, Michigan, which is fairly close, I guess. Can't get mad at that, but I think Luke. There's a few guys that'll step up. Obviously, you probably have Anthony, like top middle six. You probably have Blackwell middle six. Lucas Reichel's probably getting a big role. There's a bunch of moves they could still make, especially I think with the Taves, and I don't know if Taves gets moved. That's a lot of money getting moved. I don't unless they, what is it, 10-5 he's making 10-5, right? 10 Kane, it's movable for sure because it's Patrick fucking Kane, but Taves at this point in his career, I don't know how. Maybe if you give a 50%, someone will take him, but I think you can probably get something for Kane. Obviously he has all leverage there. It's a no move clause, right? So I think you can still like waive it.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I have no intel, nothing to suggest this is true.
Tyler Johnson career revival.
No, but that would be cool. And ironic. I think it would be I think it would be hilarious if Jonathan Toews gets traded to the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, for Dubois. I'm joking with you.
Listen, dude, I have no idea how they make that trade work. I need Armchair GM to come up with
that guy who did cider for Kempe and Jersey or Walker.
I think it was like Kempe or Iafallo and Walker for Moritz Cider. All time.
I need that motherfucker doing this right now.
I need that dude somehow making a Toews trade to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
For whoever.
I have him at a C plus just because I think Kurashev and Jones need to be signed. I think they have a bit of cap hit still. Let me see how much cap they have. 10 mil, they can sign him. But yeah, I gave him a C plus. It probably would be in the B's if it wasn't for the Brinket trade. I think C plus might be even too much, maybe a C. But I don't know. What do you have him?
I have him as a C plus mostly because I don't necessarily agree with all the moves that they made, but I think they have a plan, and it's to try and get Connor Bedard. And I would at least rather have a team with a plan.
Yeah, I think they project,
and that plan be awful than a team without a plan.
Yeah, I think they're projected worst team next year. So yeah, good luck with them. Avs, they have a bunch of guys.
They got a new goalie.
Yeah, I mean, they got Georgiev in net. They obviously got a bunch of re-signs they got in here. They didn't make any trades, did they? It says no. I don't think they.
The only key player,
Isaac Georgiev.
yeah, Georgiev is like the big key.
Bunch of resigns, Cogs, Helm, those are fine. I don't mind that. Manson and Lehkonen, they definitely got a boost just from their play during the playoffs. I know Manson really only had 1 or 2 bad games during that stretch, and Lehkonen just scored every big goal that he possibly could. So I think it's deserved. The money's deserved, and especially Nichushkin. I know people are not really fond of that. He deserves the money. He's always been a good defensive forward, and like if he's not giving you points, which he can now, we've seen, but he's giving you like some of the best defense in the league at the forward position.
Yeah, I think Colorado just there were not a lot of moves they could make. There were not a lot of moves that they were going to make.
Losing Kadri sucks a lot. That will suck a lot. Compher looked some games. Compher looked fine in that position, the second line role. Some games he looked utterly useless, to put it lightly. But I don't know. Maybe you get some of these guys like Ben Myers or Sampo Rant to move up into the fourth line position. I know Martin Kaut was a first round pick for them a few years ago. I don't know if he moves up, but there's a bunch of guys that can fill that role. I know they signed Maltsev today as well.
Yeah, the other interesting thing with Colorado here is that they don't have a second
first.
They don't have a second, third, or fourth, but they have a first.
They have the first, but second, third, and fourth. Second, third the year after. Second, third, fifth the year after. Yeah, the draft's looking pretty bleak for them for the next few years, but at least they kept their first, and that's obviously going to be because they're going to go for it again this year, max up. So you never, and he's a UFA, right? I don't think Nathan MacKinnon will leave. It's a possibility that he leaves, which would be insane, right? Nathan MacKinnon moving, whatever.
That seems like a mistake, no?
What?
Him leaving after like?
Oh yeah, for sure. You get to play with. I don't know if you're gonna be guaranteed better wingers than Mikko Rantanen and Gabriel Landeskog anywhere else. And like that's Mikko Rantanen at his best is like one of the best. He's probably arguably the best right winger in the league. And then you got Landeskog, captain, like one of the best captains in the league, and pure just beast. Like I don't even know if he's a power forward necessarily. He just does everything well and so liked, man. And I'm happy he signed there for long term. What was it, 8x7 or 7x7, something like that. But
yeah,
I don't think you're gonna get many. There's no team has that level of skill at the top line position like MacKinnon, Rantanen, unless he goes to the fucking Oilers, right? Like he's not getting much better.
So yeah, MacKinnon, and then the other big name they have to re-sign. I mean, he's an RFA, but I would think Bowen Byram is due for a big extension here.
Yeah.
Next season.
He's probably Erik Johnson. Obviously, I'm so happy he won. He deserved it, especially throughout what he's done throughout his career. Probably retiring after the season, I would assume. So he's made all the money. I think he's probably in the what is it? I don't know what a big money watch. He's 57 mil. His $6 million cap hits up this year. That $6 million is going right into Bowen Byram's books. Is my take.
Oh god, I'm looking at this defense on Cap Friendly. Sam Girard is only 24 years old with a $5 million cap hit for 5 more years.
Yeah, that's like the way he was playing this year too. That's insane. Like I know he had a bad playoffs year last year, but even the regular season last year is so good. I like how McDermott also says lefty, righty, left wing.
Oh god, yeah, Jesus. The other name, Devon Taves. Got 2 more years at $4.1 million.
Yeah, that's probably the best defensive contract in the league right now. You're getting like top 10 defenseman at his best for $4 million. That's pretty insane.
Georgiev, I don't know if he's gonna be
I'm hoping, because I always liked Georgiev. I think he's a good goal. I was so hoping back in 2020 the Leafs would have done something for. I was begging the Leafs I was begging Dubas would do something stupid. He didn't. I really wanted to trade Nylander for Georgiev or whatever, the Sandin for Georgiev, whatever that bullshit was.
Yeah, Sandin for Georgiev. Yeah.
Oh god, that was insane. That was a different era, dude. That time before COVID.
Before times.
Yeah, but my thought process is that like Georgiev definitely was limited because of the success of Shesterkin recently. So I'm hoping it works out for him. Francouz always played fine. I think when he was as a backup, there's obviously goals he let in that should, but he played average. That's what you want from a backup. I'm assuming it's a split tandem. Like I wouldn't think Georgiev's instantly the starter. I think it's a split tandem and whatever, it's like a Mike Smith thing. Whoever's better runs with it.
So
I give him a B+.
I give him a C+.
Yeah, I think it's the. I think I'm more I'm more on the end of like I like that they signed a lot of those guys that played well for him. I think they deserved it. The Gorgiev and the Francouz is the main part. I think they signed good depth, and also they did lose Burakovsky, Kadri. That's gonna suck. But I think if some guys like Newhook step up this year, you might not notice it as much.
No, and I mean, with some of those deals, it kind of feels like they're paying for past performance. Like because they won the cup, you're getting this contract. And
that's 100%. Like Nichushkin plays like that. I don't think Manson does necessarily. That was the best Manson's played hockey in his life there. Yeah. That old Colorado. Yeah, he was good in Anaheim, but never that good.
So I got a C+ for Colorado. You got
I'm just giving a B+ just because I like what they did with the goalie thing. I don't know. I think if it worked, it could go to like a D if Georgiev just sucks, right? But like I think it'll work fine for him. He's been good. It just this past year or the past 2 years have been rough on him. Columbus, we got the Blue Jackets.
The Blue Jackets.
Winner of the Johnny Gaudreau sweepstakes and the Eric Gudbranson sweepstakes, because there's some of those apparently. That was a thing apparently, according to them at least.
We have to get in on this Eric Gudbranson before everyone else does. It's like, who else is in? You're bidding against yourself.
You have to sign Laine. You can't let Laine.
I think Laine, didn't he get re-signed? I thought he got.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know he did, but that's why I was about to get allude to that. Just like you had to sign Laine. I should have said it like that. You had to sign Laine. There's no way you couldn't have. So I don't mind the 8.7 for 4 years. I know people are like, "Oh, you always just, like sits there and scores goals." Yes, that's why he's getting paid $8.7 million. Yes, that's all he does. Counter the argument against it would definitely be like you're signing Laine, but now you lose Bjorkstrand for nothing, which didn't have to be that way. They just decided to give him away for third and fourth.
Why didn't they trade away Gustav Nyquist? That seems like
Nyquist and Bean were like the guys that I'm like, okay, they're probably on their way out, and then they just weren't, because like Bean really didn't have a place. I don't know if Jiricek comes in it right away, but he probably he's probably coming in next year, so Bean isn't in the long-term plans regardless, and he's making 2.3 on the cap, so like there's no point of having him there. Good Branson. That would have been so much better. All that money just going. Just don't understand.
That by the way, that Gudbranson, he also has a modified no trade clause for some reason.
Is that a 10-team list? That's a 10-team list. Canucks already did this technique, the $4 million technique with Gudbranson. It didn't work. Why are they doing it again?
Run it back turbo.
Gavrikov's gonna be due for an upgrade. He's one of the most underrated defensemen in this league. He's gonna get 5. If Gudbranson's getting 4, he's getting 10. Like if we're being honest, but like he's probably end up gonna make the same as Gudbranson because he's Russian, not Canadian.
The other funny thing about I want to throw out there with Columbus, this has nothing to do with their offseason. Gavin Bayreuther is on this team, and he was the Kraken pick in last year's expansion draft, and they essentially just like in SpongeBob where it's like, no, you can have it. Okay, thank you. And that's what they did. They took it and then they gave him back.
They did sign one of your guys here, Cole Fonstad, to PTO. Hopefully that works out.
Hell yeah.
Kekalainen's a wild card. I think that's what I've realized over the past few years. You never know with this guy. Like he gets Gaudreau, but then he signed Gudbranson first, and then he signed Gaudreau after, which made no sense. But then he doesn't trade Nyquist, but he trades away their best scorer last year. So I don't know.
And fortunately, this is why you trade Seth Jones.
Yeah, I mean
to make this happen. I actually kind of like what the Blue Jackets like. I'll be honest. I don't know that I watched a single Blue Jackets game last year, but
I watched one where they choked the 3-0 lead in Vancouver, which is fun.
Oh, that sounds like a great time. The Blue Jackets felt like a team that they're like they were building something new. They were building something different culture. And then they just were like, what if we expedited this process by signing one of the biggest free agent contracts in history, and certainly the biggest in team history.
Yeah.
I have no idea how. I think this team will be good. I don't know if they'll be playoff good, but I think they'll be like,
yeah,
they'll be above 500 NHL style, which is like they'll get a bunch of overtime points. But
I'm gonna give Kekalainen some, like, obviously I really like Jiricek. I think he's close. He had the injury, right, but I think if it wasn't for that, he probably could have even started up this year. He looks so good. Boquist signing him to a bridge was good. Line and Gaudreau for me, like, it's gonna be Line and Gaudreau, Rostovic or Jenner in the middle, one or the other. But that's just so good. I like that they have Johnson. He'll probably come in. Johnson, Sillinger, Chinnikov might be a line. That's the new kid line. Yeah. I don't think it does as well, but that might be the new one. Nyquist and Bean are probably gone. Yeah, that's all. I don't know. And I just have good Branson Broad dead as well there, which is, I didn't know he had the no trade clause.
The real question is, which team is going to trade for Gustav Nyquist, and why will it be the Oilers and Ken Holland?
Oh gosh. I don't even want to think about. I'm just gonna move on. I gave him a B. I gave the B as a score. I think Kekalainen did some good, but then there's obviously the good Branson. It would have been. I think I just gave him a B just because you signed Johnny Gaudreau. You signed the biggest fish in free agency. You got to get like a decent grade just for that.
I have him with a B plus. The if they didn't get Gaudreau, like if they didn't get Gaudreau this offseason, there would be so many more questions about the Blue Jackets in the future of this team.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And they don't necessarily do the Bjorkstrand trade if they get Gaudreau, and if they re-sign Laine, like they don't necessarily have to do that, of course.
So, and Laine was good when he played last year. Like,
yeah, I
don't know. People just like hating on Laine just because I guess
I'm
pretty sure he's point. Yeah, dude, who cares? Like Ovechkin doesn't play defense. He's the best goal scorer ever.
Mark Scheifele hasn't played defense in years.
Yeah, and he's still like a number one center in the NHL. Okay, that's just being mean now.
But you said a B. I'll give a B plus for the Blue Jackets. The other thing that'll be really interesting, I think, with Columbus, I'm curious to see what their goaltending situation is like next year, because if I remember, their goaltending was not that great last year.
Elvis had some good. Yeah, it was just really up and down. But Korpisalo was horrible. I would assume Tarasov probably gets more time.
I shouldn't say their goaltending was bad. If I remember correctly, their expected goals against was not very good last year.
Yeah, and that's what it really was. Because I remember Brzezikins had some good games. He's still Elvis.
And I don't know if that's totally on the goaltending or who's exactly to blame with that, but as long as the expected goals improved, I think Columbus will be close to a playoff team next year.
Yeah, that for sure. I think they to help that he's going to be there with Werenski.
All right, Rav, the Dallas Stars. They're a team that exists.
They're a team in the NHL. They're one of the teams in the NHL for sure.
They're one of 32 NHL teams, the Dallas Stars.
So Robertson's not signed. They lose Klingberg. Look at that as a good or bad thing. I obviously wanted a lot, and I don't think he was really wanting to stay in Dallas. You have Sagan and Ben at near 20 million. That's probably over 150. That's over 150 or capped, if not a quarter into them. You can't move those contracts. They're really not movable. They couldn't, because of that. You don't really make many moves. I don't think they had any major trades. They signed Butcher and Marchment and Miller.
I feel like Sagan is movable. Like Sagan, you can trade Sagan. I don't necessarily think you can trade Jamie Benn at this point.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good take. I don't know. I think Sagan, you can attribute a lot of that to the injury, whereas it's just Jamie Benn's just the game's tapered off. Sagan, I don't see what this team looks like in the future, because you could sign Robertson this year. Rope Hintz is up next year, and that's going to be a big one. he's a wild card. He could be asking for anything. And then Ottinger also isn't signed. That's your goalie.
So they currently right now, as they record this, have a little under $11.5 million in cap space.
Yeah. And no LTIR, and they have Khudobin buried.
And they have to re-sign Robertson and Ottinger, both.
That's arguably 15 mil. Like you probably give an Ottinger 4 or 5, at least I would say. Peter DeBoer's their coach.
Here's the thing. I like the Peter DeBoer coaching experience, I think, more than the Rick Bowness coaching experience.
I'll get to that when that happens as well. But yes, I agree with that. I honestly thought Rick Bowness was going to retire. I'm like, hey, he was on the Canucks for a bit. Please retire, man. And he didn't. I'm fucking annoyed. Yeah, lots of contracts up for next year, but not much money to show for it. Pavelski, Hintz, Gurionov, Kiviranta, Glendening, all the way down.
I have no idea what the Stars are. Like, yeah. I like that was a team. That was a team that we saw last year in person
with Travis Green Canucks.
Travis Green Canucks coaching, they gave up 7 goals to Travis Green Canucks in November, and that team somehow was 1 goal away from making the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I had him as a B-. I changed it to C+. I also don't know why in my brain I think it's so high. I think it's just the fact in my mind that they can't do anything. I think I'm going to change it to a C. I was at a B-. I don't know why I was so generous with it. Maybe it's because I think they brought in some like the Marchment move's good. I think the Butcher and the Miller one are good depth. I think that's what just brought up the score. I'm gonna leave it at a C+ C-ish area. I think I'll leave it a C even.
Yeah, I think it's a C. Like I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. There's nothing. There's nothing this team needs to do more than just re-sign Ottinger and Robertson.
Then I just don't know how you get Rope Hinson next year. Thankfully, he's an RFA, but Pavelski isn't. Everybody also Pavelski might retire soon. You never know, but he's playing so good still, so you never know. Like, why would he?
Well, Pavelski, if this team just falls apart or this team just plays like shit, Pavelski's going to get moved at the deadline, and that's kind of what they set that up for. Was kind of punted until next season. Like they were talks about them moving him at this year's deadline. They're punting it till next year.
It's Pavelski's probably the JT Miller. Pavelski and JT Miller are in similar situations. Not maybe for Pavelski, you probably have to pay much less because he doesn't have another 5-10 years ahead of him of that sort of play. But there's a bunch of guys on the trade market this year. I think better than last year as well.
What did I say?
Bunch of difference makers. I think like guys like Miller and him could be guys that can like push you over the edge, like over the hump kind of thing.
I don't see it happening, but I wonder if the Stars get ambitious and they look to try and find a way to bring Klingberg back.
I don't think that makes sense in any way at this point.
I don't think it does either, but I wonder if because there's a lot of deals coming up after this season, and Klingberg, I don't know. I think he knows Dallas. It's a different coach. I wonder if that means anything. It's a different coach. And
him and Rick Bowness definitely didn't seem like they were a similar player.
No.
Yeah.
But I'll give them a C+.
C+, just considering what it is. But yeah. Red Wings, your team.
Detroit.
Got their jersey back there.
Hell yeah.
Good moves, man. They made some good moves. I like the...
What's your favorite move?
Husso, I think. I'm joking. My favorite move... Ooh, I don't know.
I think mine might be the Perron signing.
I think mine might be Kopp. Kopp's only 27 and he got 5-year, only $5 million. That's not much of a. And he showed this year he's pretty good, especially in the playoffs too. I think that's probably my favorite move for sure.
Like I like him as a player. I don't know. I like that deal necessarily. That seems like a more like That's about $1.5 million, 2 million, I think, more than I would want for him.
That's fair. I think. Well, that's just how free agency is, though. You're gonna obviously
Totally, and
you saw that with Ben Sherratt. That's like
yeah,
I don't think it's a bad contract though. Like as bad as people are saying, it defense every team. I feel like at this point has a defensive contract they don't want. Like it's you got to deal with it. But like Ben Sherratt's an average defenseman, and like you don't get average defensemen who can play both sides that are that big that like that.
Well, and as Red Wings Twitter is happy to point out, he's going to be a great fit when they make the playoffs.
Oh, they said that? Jesus. Good luck. I don't know if they make the playoffs soon. That'd be good for him. Yeah, Sherratt being the highest paid defenseman, I think. Is that the case? Yeah, it's a bit rough. I was thinking, does Hronek get moved soon? I don't know if he does. I know there's things about that recently, but I don't know what you think about that.
I would like him to stay, but again, if the offer is too good to pass up,
yeah,
it depends.
They also have a. Sorry, keep going.
I was gonna say he also seems like a guy who's more valuable to the Red Wings than any other team because he's a draft and developed, and he's been with it. Like he's been playing for the Red Wings for so long on the shitty Red Wings teams that he seems like somebody who is more valuable to Detroit than anybody else.
Yeah.
And
his contract's not the worst. I don't know if he's living up to that 4.4 but he's been on some bad teams, and I just think if you give him 1 or 2 years, maybe.
He's a 24-year-old right D man. Like,
yeah, you can't get. You saw what Gudbranson got. Like right-handed D men are just getting everything in this day and age. So fair play. I don't know what Sider's gonna get in fucking 2 years, but man, it's gonna be a lot.
I would almost think it's the Cale Makar deal.
I would say it's his. I would like the Caps gonna move up 8 by 10. Would it be out the picture for sure for me?
I wouldn't be upset with that. And then you do an 8 by 8 with Lucas Raymond too. When that
before we get to them, actually, I want to talk about obviously Dylan Larkin next year. He's up. Bertuzzi's up too. I think Bertuzzi walks. I know what I would have liked. I actually really like him on Detroit. I think it's a perfect fit, but I think he does walk. But I hope you get Larkin signed. He's a UFA. I think he would stay. I don't think he'd leave a team that made you the captain.
There would be riots in Detroit if Dylan Larkin wasn't a Red Wing for his entire career.
And I think Larkin wants it too. I feel like Larkin would want to be
he's a Michigan guy. Like
there's no reason for him to leave.
There's no reason.
And the forward core's improved so much. Look how well he played with Raymond this year. Raymond Bertuzzi. It works so well. And if Bertuzzi leaves, he still has Vrana for another year, who's as good, like same level-ish.
I actually really like. This might be because I'm biased, but like I actually really like this forward group for Detroit.
I wrote that down. I literally have it down. I'm like, forward core has improved a lot. I'm like, I think really the defense is like, you kind of have to focus. I think Olli Maatta is great. He doesn't get enough respect because I think he's meant to be like a much bigger top 4 guy and end up just being like an underrated defenseman. And now he's at the point where everyone hated him, not hated him, but like stop talking about him to the point where he's underrated.
He wasn't what people wanted him to be.
And because there's like that thing where like there's just the first year fall off where like everyone's like, oh, he's gonna be good, and then he's like, oh shit, he's gonna be this guy, and which has been fine though. That's the thing. He's always been a good shutdown. Maybe not the best shutdown guy, but I mean, I argue he's better than Sherratt defensively. You probably bring Edvinsson in. I would think. Is that a thing?
I mean,
that could be a play.
It could be a play. You're not totally far off. You have to.
You still have Oysterley for another year, so you don't really need to. But...
Well, and you have to consider that they brought in Robert Hagg.
I didn't. I trust me, man. I did not consider that. I consider Mark Pysyk, who's a right D, right wing.
Well, did you see that thing about Mark Pysyk about how the Red Wings drafted him, and then just the other day they made a statement saying like, yeah, Pysyk is on. He just had surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
Where is it? Newly signed defender Mark Pysyk has undergone surgery on a torn Achilles tendon and is out 4 to 6 months.
Oh, really?
And it's just
he's not getting time.
And
why did they sign him?
They signed him, and then it's just like that was very weird that you signed.
Trust Steve, man. Trust Steve. Always trust Steve.
Totally.
I wrote delete Zadina from team, please. He's a restricted
Oh.
free agent this year.
Is he the new Puljujarvi?
No, because Puljujarvi's good.
Oh, come on.
I don't like Zadina just because of what he did to Garland, but I also just think it's unfortunate. He hasn't really turned out to the player. I mean, Red Wings fans and Red Wings, the organization wanted him to.
Here's my thing on Zadina.
I think you give him one or two more chances because he can't give up on a guy who's that highly doubted that quick. I don't think Rangers are going to give up on Kakko. I don't think that this team should give up Zadina quite yet.
Well, the reason I can't give up on Zadina is because I'm also 22 years old, and if people like were like just like,
yeah, I also got to be 22 as well. Actually, fuck, you're right, man.
If people started throwing in the towel on me, you know, oh, he's 22, he hasn't performed well in the last 4 years. So it's like, well, fuck, I'm playing.
Yeah, well, fuck, man, I'm fucked. Yeah, I don't. I think you still give him a chance. I think it's the fact that there hasn't been any improvement. Like, there's not been much, has there?
No, and I don't want to play the Blashill card, but in this moment, I'll play the Blashill card, and I think a new coach will help. And by the way, shout out former Everett Silvertips associate coach Jay Verardi is the new assistant coach and one of the new assistant coaches in Detroit. So I gotta shout him out. What's your trade grade?
I gave him an A. I gave him an A. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you gave him that. Maybe you're.
I gave him an A minus.
A minus. Yeah, I was A minus and A. I think it's just the fact that he improved. I know there's a bunch of overpays in there. I think he did improve the team a lot. Yeah, that, and I'll give Stevie Y that. And I always trust in Yzerman after what he did in Tampa. So I think you guys are fine in Detroit. Got a bunch to look to forward to.
What? The problem is with like the worst case scenario with this team is like if Husso plays like Nedeljkovic and Nedeljkovic doesn't regain any form, Ben Sherrod is awful. I'm looking at this as like in a pessimistic sense, which I really shouldn't.
I do that the Canucks too, so I can't get mad at that. Like any signing, or like in my mind right now, I'm just like Mikheyev's going to be the worst player in the history of the Canucks.
But then I look at the forward group and I'm like, you know what? Adam Ernie and Michael Rasmussen are not going to get as much ice time.
Oh my gosh! Let's just go to the next.
They're going to play a limited role, and it's going to be good. They're
Oilers. So the trade they made.
So what the fuck is with the Oilers? So who the fuck are the Oilers?
They signed Kane, which is okay. McKegg. They signed Campbell, which was done like 2 years ago. Kulak's a good signing. I like that. Janmark, okay. Puljujarvi, okay. And I guess Reed Schaefer too, because that's the guy they got from the Cassian trade. They moved down 3 spots.
Another Seattle Thunderbird, so I hate his ass.
Okay, I don't know what you do with Puljujarvi and that, I guess, but obviously you had to put money into Campbell. You needed a goalie, and you probably could have went after Kemper, but I guess they just had Campbell and there's eyesight, so they just went with him. Puljujarvi, I know he signed $3 million.
But so with Edmonton,
you still have McLeod and Yamamoto too.
You have no cap space if you're Edmonton.
You're down a couple mil. You're probably putting Smith, unfortunately, still Klefbom on there, which is unfortunate because Klefbom is probably their best defenseman. I'm going to be Klefbom is their best defenseman. He hasn't played hockey in 2 years.
So again,
Klefbom's the best defenseman of the past decade. Maybe Andre Sekera, and then like Nurse is top. Nurse is probably the third. Maybe I'm being mean to Nurse. Nurse is their best defenseman.
No,
right?
You're being mean to what's his name, who was the former captain of that team.
Andrew Ference.
You're being mean to him. Remember when Andrew Ference was getting a lot of talk? Like people were hyping up like Andrew Ference, like good guy, good locker room guy. Like this is gonna.
He's not a good guy. I'll tell you that right now. He's not a good guy. He's a locker room guy, but no, not a good guy. Middle fingering the fans in Montreal. Remember that one.
So with Edmonton, I am happy to point out the fact that they traded for Duncan Keith last year. They traded assets for Duncan Keith and no salary retention, only for him to play for 1 year. and he's gone, and there's nothing. And
I know it's only Caleb Jones, but Caleb Jones would have been fine on this, like in this play. Like,
so, but I'm looking at this decor. So you have Darnell Nurse, whose extension kicks in, by the way, this year. His
I just
9
realized I see 8 UFA here. I'm like, oh my gosh.
his no move 9.25 8-year contract kicks in this year.
10 team list at least. At least it's not like a Patrick Kane Taves one, but it's pretty fucking bad.
Tyson Berry, Cody Cece, Brett Kulak, Slater Kukuk, Evan Bouchard, and Philip Broberg. Now,
they have Draisaitl over 3 years at 8.5, which is
best contract in the NHL by a landslide.
That's like arguably ever. Like that's one of the best contracts ever.
So that decor, I hope Evan Bouchard really learned a lot from Duncan Keith. Fucking, he's gonna need it when he's playing with Darnell Nurse next year on the top pair.
I think it will be Nurse CC again. That was probably the best they had, which is sad. CC, I'm praying for Broberg, man. I'm hoping it works out for him. I'm really hoping it works. He's 21. He's young, right? And same with Bouchard. He's 22. They got time, but man, fuck.
Don't you love those fucking media pieces where it's like, yeah, you know what Duncan Keith provided? Leadership. That's why Evan Bouchard's gonna be better next season. It's like, fuck you.
I'll be honest. There's not much to say here. Soup's needed. Kane's fine. You never know what will happen. I don't think there'll be a Kane issue as bad. I think he's definitely changed his ways outside of the hockey rink as well, and maybe even in the locker room a bit. I think once they hit the bank account, it finally like clocked on him that he probably should not be an idiot. And obviously, you're gonna still get the throwing up the 7 when you score an empty net goal against the fucking shittiest playoff team. But like, I don't know. I think the Kane signing's fine. You're getting a guy who scored 14 goals in the playoffs in 3 rounds for like $5 million. Come on, that is a good contract. I think it's fine. I gave him a C plus. I think maybe even a C would be better. The C plus is like being like it's a C without them signing Campbell, but they signed Campbell, so it's a C plus. Maybe a B minus even.
I'll give him a C. I'm just afraid that Campbell is going to become the new Cam Talbot.
Oh god, well, like goalie's like good, but like maybe you don't want him. Like he's like okay.
Also,
that's what they needed though. A goalie who actually does the trick. Even though Smith was good in the playoffs technically, but
listen, I like Campbell. No idea if Campbell is gonna be.
Shout out to him. He deserved that for fucking all those hell years in Dallas. Same with the Chuskin. Both of those guys deserved for what they had to deal with in Dallas, man.
My thing with Campbell, I have no idea if he's gonna be like. Edmonton needs a goalie who can. Edmonton needs a Vasilevsky or a Hellebuck or like a dude who can just play 60 games and carry that god awful defense.
I think Draisaitl's modified. He has a 10-team list now. Hey man, Draisaitl for Vasilevsky 1-for-1. Do they do?
Well, that's okay. So
I'll stop with the armchair.
No. Let's throw this out then. If Edmonton loses, like if Edmonton loses in the first round this year, let's say Edmonton loses to like, I don't know, LA in the first round again, right?
The Canucks.
Let's say the Canucks. Let's say if the Canucks is even a better example. If the Canucks beat the Oilers in the first round this year, when is Connor McDavid and or Leon Draisaitl asking for a trade out of Edmonton?
Yeah. My thought process is they both ride their contracts and leave. I genuinely, if Connor McDavid leaves, he's getting the biggest contract in hockey history, which is I would say he gets around. My hot take is like they both get around like between 14 and 17 million. I like especially that like 25. Like Connor McDavid is worth $30 million a year for being honest, but like he'll get like 18.
Here's the thing, the fact and that team the team this past year. That team had no business being in the conference finals whatsoever. Zero. And the fact that this team has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, nobody talks about this enough. The fact that both of those guys are locked up and taking up only 25% of your cap, and you haven't won a single fucking thing.
Yeah. Sagan and Ben have made it to the finals, and they took a 25% cap hit.
But Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl taking up only 25% of your cap, and you haven't done fucking shit with those guys. You should be tried for a war crime. That's what that is. That is just awful.
Yeah. What Draisaitl did in this playoffs is nothing short of like remarkable. I was gonna use bigger words, maybe that's too much, but like on one leg he scored. He like single handedly cooked Calgary and was scoring breakaways. Man, it's it is insane. I know what you mean. Like you got two of the best hockey players ever on your first line and second line, and you're not doing anything in them. But I don't know. I'll give him a C plus. It'll be nice to fucking Ken Holland, the Hall of Famer.
I'll give him a C. I don't have a lot. I don't respect.
Florida lost so much. I don't even want to go through that. I have an image of it on my phone. I won't pull it up. It's just like
they got Nick Cousins,
Del Zotto, Chris Tierney, Rudolph's Balsers, and the Stahl brothers.
You know what's funny is how Mark Stahl had like this total like 180 PR wise with the Red Wings fans, where like at first everybody's like, "Oh, this fucking guy," and then when he left, it's like, "Oh, Mark Stahl. I'm kind of disappointed he left."
I remember like I think that's when we watched him. I kind of even turned my eye. I'm like, wow, he's actually not that bad. I think it's just like the fact that it's like you expect Mark Stahl to be like that shutdown number one pairing defenseman. Yeah. And it's like, oh well, he's also like near 40 years old.
Well, and as if like the Red Wings didn't acquire him just in like a cap dump with the Rangers anyways. Like they got a second round pick for taking the Mark Stahl contract. So like, yeah.
Some low risk signings like Colin White and the Huberdeau Weegar thing. We'll talk the only reason they did that trade is because they had to add intel. Like there's no way you do that trade. Like, because Huberdeau is probably going to ask for what, maybe like $1 million more than Tkachuk. I would do that. I don't think Florida wouldn't do that. And then Weegar was going to ask for maybe 7. You let him go. Okay, whatever. You keep your first. You keep Schwint. I don't know why you do that as Florida unless Huberdeau never made explicit that he said he was cut off guard as well. I don't think he even got the chance to even really have talks with them, like big time talks. I think it was just really preliminary. Maybe you add and then I'll give my score.
The Panthers. Listen, I like Tkachuk.
Yes, same.
I would probably, if I was trying to build a team, the thing with Huberdeau is that he has a bit more of what's the term? But he's had a lot more sustained success than Matthew Tkachuk, because you're moving Tkachuk off the best year of his career, and there's no proof that he can do that again.
Yeah,
and again, I love the player. I would want him on my team in a heartbeat.
I would. Well, yeah. If I always thought like in my mind, like what if like him or Brady come to the Canucks? Is obviously
of the connection. Absolutely. Like I've said this before. If I could just create a line for the playoffs, like if I could just have a line of players, it would be both the Tkachuk brothers and Max Domi. Because I think that would just be an absolute pest.
He's the new Mr. Game 7 in Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. And
last year.
And the fact that Florida not only gave up, I think, the best player in the trade.
Maybe. Well, the best, like he's the best, like Matt Tkachuk.
They gave up the most skilled player.
Yeah, because I know obviously Matt Tkachuk is the better two-way guy, but like Jonathan, I'd rather have Huberdeau. That's the thing. I'd rather have Huberdeau and like Weegar's like a top pairing defenseman on almost every.
I think most people would,
he's a top 15 to 20 defenseman.
I was gonna say top 15, and I would say with Weegar, I don't know if most people know that he's that good, but I think there's enough people who have seen the stats. I don't think the numbers lie. And
a defensive defenseman, that sort of statistic offensively speaks for itself, I think.
And you kind of mentioned this earlier about how even the stats without Ekblad really without
Ekblad, he was like he's still good. Like it should. I think that's what really brought him to stardom. Like, well, maybe not stardom, but like just like really made a name for himself. That's why I think
Yeah.
he can make like 8 mil next year. I wouldn't be surprised.
So so
I gave him a C, maybe a C minus, but
I'm gonna give them a C plus because I do like Kachuk.
yeah,
But there is something to be said for, they lost Mason Marchman, they lost Claude Giroux.
Sherrod. Sherrod. I know Sherrod.
I don't know. I don't know if Sherrod is in that category with those two guys, but still along the same lines of like traded a bunch of assets to acquire said player, and then said player walked in free agency. It's like, I don't know about that, but I'll give them a C plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like Kachuk. I'm wearing his jersey, so.
LA, not many moves, but some of the moves are pretty big time. Obviously, the Fiala one was a really good move. I like that move a lot. I think they get, what was it? They traded, it was Faber and the pick for Liam
and their first round pick this year.
Yeah, that was Liam Ogren, I'm pretty sure. But I think that's a good trade. Yeah, I know, like, you never know with Ogren and Faber, but like you're getting Fiala. That's all that matters, is you're getting Kevin Fiala. Well, I know he kind of took him a while to start, but I think towards the second half of the season he came back. I saw it in my fantasy league that he came back, so I picked him up.
Well, that's the thing with LA. It's like they didn't really need to do a whole lot. Like they kind of surprised everybody by making the playoffs last year. They took the Oilers to 7 games.
Yeah, it was McDavid who really saved them there anyway.
Yeah. And I
like Edler as well. Like Edler, Grunstrom, Kempe. Like they got all those guys. I don't know. Is Iafallo up? Or he signed, right? Iafallo signed.
Getting traded to Detroit apparently.
Yeah.
No, that was Kempe and Walker for.
Oh yeah. Shut up. My brain. But yeah, I like the signings made. I know it's like only like some depth moves. I know Edler played top pairing minutes there, but like they got a bunch of the young guys back. I know Velarde's taking a while, but he's back for I think another year. He's on a one-way, so he's going to be probably playing up there. I don't like Lemieux, but I guess it's cool. I don't know. Maybe I know Lias Anderson's only 23, so I won't count him out yet. And same with Jared Anderson, Dolan. I think a bunch of those guys can definitely get their chance next year. Yeah, hoping Byfield steps up a bit. I don't know. I doubt what's his name, Brandt Clarke comes up next year. I think maybe in one more year. Then like Edler leaves, and then he comes in. But yeah, got to sign Dursey. I don't know if Mikey Anderson signed either.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Kings, like cap wise, still have a few more moves to make.
Yeah.
The
Kopitar's a few more years, right? Through 2. Yeah.
Well, goaltending is the biggest thing for myself with like what are the Kings going to do goaltending wise, where Quick is he got a 5.8 million cap this year. He's a UFA next year. This team is in a really good spot to perform well and to do well, but if they don't have that right goalie,
Quick did fine, but Quick can only do fine for so long. And Peterson, I think you gotta have to run with Peterson now. You have him locked for 3 years at a kind of a rough cap it for what he's doing. I assume it's probably Quick next year, and then it's just gotta hope Peterson brings it back. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you bring a different goalie coach in or something. Yeah, at least some of the cap will be off the books, and then Dion Phaneuf's dead cap's up next year as well. Not Mike Richards, unfortunately. He's going for a while, but yeah, there's I think there's a lot to look to in LA. I gave him. I don't know if you have anything else to add before.
No, I think they saw an opportunity with the Fiala trade and they went with it.
And I think they got that Arvidsson trade last year. Obviously, I think that was a really good one.
Yeah, I was gonna say just like I think they still have some moves left to make. Like I don't think the Kings are done yet. Probably on defense, I feel like they need to. I would love if they just added one more like top 2 guy on defense. Like I would even top 4. I would just feel more confident with them. But I nothing really.
I think you obviously hope one of those guys like end up being one of them, one of those top 2 guys. I don't know I don't know if Durzee's there, but like he looked pretty promising. But he could be a guy that moves up quite a bit. I don't know if he's that top two guy, but yeah, I like what you're thinking about there with the having another top
Eh,
two guy. I gave him a B plus.
Well, and I was gonna say maybe that's where Brant Clark fits in, like another, because again, with LA, they still have a really good prospect pool. Tyler Madden is still in this system. Alex Turcotte is still in this
Yeah,
system.
Turcotte.
Brant Clark is still in this system. Jared Anderson, like there's dudes that can still come up and be effective, but yeah, the Kings, I gave them an A minus, and
Yeah, B plus A minus range. I think they did a good job for what they had. They didn't really have to do much though.
no, and they still have moves to make, and they're fine. They're fine.
Yeah.
Next team on the list.
So you got Bill Guerin here, the Bill Guerin era.
Billy G.
I mean, they traded Fiala. They got Gustafson, so that's a bit of money off, but about it. They got Fleury back. They signed Nick.
I'm kind of surprised they brought Fleury back, considering what we think of this team now.
Yeah, it's not looking good for him. It's not. Zuccarello he's good. He's not going to be that good in 2 years. Joel Eriksson Ek's on a great contract. Hartman's also on a really good contract. You're hoping, Boldy's up next year. I know Duhamel is. He's not in the same realm as Boldy, maybe, but there's still a bunch of guys that are up next year. Does Dumba stay? And obviously you have the Parise Sitter kicking this year. That's near $13 million, and then 15 the year after.
I wonder if Brodin gets moved. He got 6 more years at about $6 million, and he doesn't have.
But obviously, I think Spurgeon's a great contract. He's one of the best defense in the league. He's making 7.5, and like I think him and Hughes are like the best comparison. Like I know Spurgeon's 32, but I think it's a similar type of thing there. But I don't know if you can really move Brodin, or if you want to, just because he's such a rock back there. I don't know if you want to move that. It's like I don't know what Minnesota's thinking right now. I don't know what Bill Guerin's thinking, because trade away Fiala kind of because you had to, because you strapped yourself with the Parise Suter thing. I think he's just betting on the young guys to step up, which is a bit. Well, I don't know if that's really the best thing right now.
I don't think they really have much of a choice. They got 12 million, almost 13 million tied up in Parise and Suter this
upcoming. At least they got Ogren and Faber. Got Middleton back.
Guys that I like on Minnesota. Adam Beckman could get some opportunities. Marco,
I'm hoping Rossi. Rossi obviously hope, and like there's a few guys there.
Nick Patan's in this system.
Stop! Don't. I hope Kalen Addison and Lambos maybe get a chance, and obviously, I guess I don't know. I think what the thing with Fleury is like they're waiting 2 years, and then Wallstead comes in. But I gave him a C. There's nothing here for me.
I would say it's probably a C. I just don't know what Minnesota, like, because they have Kaprizov and Spurgeon and Dumba and Fleury. The goal is to be competitive, but they have to trade Fiala because they can't sign him. They're probably going to make another move to get more cap space or to get a younger guy.
Yeah, and then you're losing probably Brodin. He's your shutdown guy. So I don't know. I'm giving a C just because there's nothing much that's been done. And we're rating on what's been done so far.
They have a little over $4 million left in cap space. Like that's not entirely nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that they want to go,
They don't really, they don't have any you want to sign right now, but there's obviously.
I don't know if they want to go like.
Hell, they might go after Kadri. They might do it. They might fucking do it. You never know.
I was gonna say like I don't know if they want to go like the PK Subban route. Like if they want to go, the Phil Kessel route. Like they kind of need a.
Phil Kessel seems okay. Phil Kessel seems like that will be okay, but I don't think about the Subban really, because I think their defensive core like looks fine. I think it's really that. I don't know.
The decor looks good. I don't know if Minnesota's that kind of team that wants to add depth, if you know what I mean. Kessel,
Yeah.
they don't really need a winger. They need more of a center, but hey,
I don't. I know it's Kadri. Kadri's gonna want term, and it probably deserves it. Yeah. See what I am. See. Yes. Let's go to the Habs. Though. They made a bit more moves.
the Habs have done a lot this offseason.
So obviously the Gary Bettman Classic, where he's like, "Oh, I got something for you," and then everyone goes dumb for the Romanov. I'll talk about the Romanov one. I think he in a few here, but they also got Kirby Doc there. I think that's fine. He needed to change the scenery, and then the Petrie and the Matheson, Petrie Paling from Matheson.
That was a weird trade. I don't know if I totally like.
It's a bit of money off the books. That's 2.1 million off the books. And Mike Matheson, I think right now at this point in the career of both those guys, they're almost like when it happened, I'm like, bro, Petrie, it's Petrie. Why are you trading away for fucking Mike Matheson? But like, if you're actually looking at it, like, it's almost the same player at this point. I know Petrie had an off season, like pretty bad season on a shit team, but Matheson had a great season. So it could be when Pittsburgh selling at the highest and trying to buy Petrie at his lowest.
I was gonna say with Petrie and Matheson, it definitely feels like Pittsburgh getting the better defender, but you're paying more to get him. With Montreal getting the not as good defender, where you're not paying him as like you're saving a bit on the cap to do that.
Matheson's a good top four guy. He's definitely, which I'm very happy about. I'm happy that he improved considering what he came from. I don't know if Matheson the guy who injured Pedersen. So is that why I meant to hate him? I think that's why I meant
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I always forget that I have some underlying reason for him. I think that's why.
You have a disdain for him.
Yeah, I remember he's on Florida. He did some stupid shit, and he sucked analytically. So I could always shit on him for it, but I don't think he does anymore. But yeah, I like those moves. I liked the Yuri Slavkovsky pick. I like that they took Philip Massar as well.
They got the Donna for essentially.
Yeah, no, that was nothing as well. That was just a cap dump as well, which I like. The Donov's good. Like, he's not bad. He's not the greatest, but he's middle six sniper. You can always use a middle six sniper, I guess.
I could see him putting up 20 goals in Montreal this
for sure. Yeah, 100%. He's looking so good on the second half of that season with Vegas after he had to kind of prove something. It looked like he definitely was out to prove something after what they did to him with the Anaheim thing. Yeah, I was on like Caulfield. I think Caulfield hopefully works out for him. Obviously worked when St. Louis came in and Charm left. I think there's obviously not much cap space there, so I think they're kind of in a rebuild stage. I think the Nick Suzuki contract's fine as well. I know there was like that thing on Twitter where like what's his name made that article about.
Oh, Dom did his worst NHL
contract. I think wasn't that I didn't look at it, but I'm pretty sure it was based off of his model, which is fair enough. But Suzuki, that contract's not bad, like objectively. I think Dvorak might be like there's so many guys that look like they're probably gonna get traded at the trade deadline. I think Montreal. I don't know if Montreal's in a Bedard phase, but they're looking like it, right? Like they're gonna be bottom team for sure.
I would rather have the Suzuki contract than the Josh Norris contract.
Oof, that's a good take, actually. I like that take. I gave him a B minus. Maybe that's being harsh. Maybe a B looks more like it's a rebuilding stage, and maybe a B minus is being too harsh. I'll give him a B.
I mean, like, again, this is a team that kind of knows what they are, but they're also trying to, improve our rebuild. Like,
it is weird. That's why, I don't know. It is a weird thing. Is trading Paling along with that is I always thought was weird. I just don't think he got a chance. I don't think it was really like Paling could fit instead of Pizzetta. Like Pizzetta shouldn't realistically be there, but I don't know. I guess they see something in it. Kirby Doc still needs to sign. I'm assuming there's probably another trade or two in there. I don't know what it would be, but
I thought the Doc trade was a win for Montreal. I thought the Dadonov trade was a win for Montreal.
Holy defensive core. I'm just like, good luck.
So your defense for the Montreal defense next year looks like Michael Matheson, Joel Edmondson, David Savard, Justin Barron, Jordan Harris, who I've had people tell me is good.
He looked fine. He scored his first career goal last year, if I'm not mistaken. I watched that game, but he looked
That
okay.
was the crazy game against Florida where Montreal scored like 10 against Florida, like at the
They
end of
have
the.
been. That was Jonas Johansson's fault. That all the I can't believe Colorado signed him again.
And I think the other big thing to note with Montreal is that hopefully you get a full healthy season of Carey Price.
Yeah, that's always what you want. I know they signed Montembolt again. Cool. I don't know why you want to sign him again after that season. Yeah, there's not much to say. I'll give him a B. What did I give him? B minus. I'll still, I said B, I think, but I'll give him B minus.
Um,
Predators. I think it's Predators. Nashville. Yeah,
I'll give Montreal a B. I think that's fine.
yeah.
Nashville. I they're good, right?
On paper, and like they played pretty well. I know they did get swept, right? What I
Yeah, they
remember.
did. They did. That was. I mean,
Yeah.
it was not great to begin with, but then also Saros wasn't playing.
Yeah, Saros was out. I like the McDonough move. It's a rough contract towards the end, and it's a 12-team list. For his no trade. I like Forsberg coming back, and that's a really good cap hit. I know it was like a really good year for him, and he had a good shooting percentage, so numbers might be skewed from what he might be able to contribute. But that's a first line winger, and 8.5 is good for a first line winger in this league. Getting Lankinen's a goalie that can play. I would rather have Lankinen than Riddick at this point, probably. Sanford's fine. I really like Nino Niederreiter. I think that's a guy who could fit in on that middle six perfectly. I didn't think to get him. I really didn't think to get another winger, but that's a perfect fit. I think the only guy they have to sign right now is Yakov Trenin, but that's like they have $4 million still left. I don't think they have any, or they have they have the Kyle Turris contract. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's the only guy they have to sign right now. I think next year Janot's up and Fabro. So those are two guys you probably want to sign. I think and Carrier, but I guess that's for the future. For what they've done so far, I like it. The really only bad part is the McDonough has that term that you might not want.
Yeah, the McDonough term is not ideal. Their defense is their defense is older than you would think, considering it's Yossi who's 32, McDonough's 33, Ekholm's 32, Marco Boretsky is
I don't know if he's gonna get played. I would assume they play Lausanne over him.
33.
Lausanne, Carrier.
Lausanne is. I can't even use old as the excuse of why Jeremy Lauzon should not be playing, but Jeremy Lauzon is 25. Do you know
that signed a 4-year extension though?
Yes, that's a 4-year contract for Jeremy Lauzon because you really got to lock down below average NFL or NHL defenders when you can.
I also they traded away Luke Cunnin, which is a weird trade. I don't.
Yeah, really, that didn't really make sense.
I don't know. I guess they got a third, John Leonard, whatever.
Cool.
I gave him a B plus. I think it's for what it's worth. I don't know. Predators are like a middle team.
I gave him a C plus.
I guess that's our biggest discrepancy. I think it's B plus just because I gave the Forsberg and Niederreiter want a lot of credit for because that's those are good contracts.
Yeah, if they didn't do that, that would not be good.
But yeah, I guess I give it. I'm skewing it a bit. I'll stick with my B plus just for those two signings.
I just have C plus because I don't know. I think they're good. I like the Niederreiter signing. Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah. In my mind, I'm like, there's always got to be teams in the middle, and I guess they're what do you call it, embracing it.
Well, they're not, I feel like Dallas was like the worst version of that.
Yeah.
And now Nashville.
Let's go.
Gonna try that.
We're getting into the what do you give him a C plus? I'll give him a B plus.
C plus for Nashville.
We're getting into the shitters here, so this is what I'm hoping for. This is what I know it's late, but I ain't got nothing to do tomorrow, so whatever. We can go into the shitters here. Devils. So they obviously lost out on the Goudreau sweepstakes, and then they downgraded with the Halazaga thing. They gave up near a first round pick for Vanacek. And they got Marino for Ty Smith. Those are the major trades, and then the signings was like Siegenthaler and Palat.
So here's my take on the Devils. This team's not gonna be good next year. They're gonna miss.
Oh,
the
no.
playoffs.
God.
They're gonna miss the playoffs, and they're gonna have to start all over again. Like, I would not be surprised if by this time next year we're gonna have some Jack Hughes, Nico Heischer.
I'll be honest. I don't think though. I'll guarantee you Dougie Hamilton rumors. I'll guarantee that. Like,
Yes.
speaker case guarantee stamp that'll happen.
That's the speaker piece hot take that Dougie will get.
Yeah, Dougie Hamilton's gonna be trade rumors. I think
there were so many times like I watched more Devils than the Blue Jackets, which I don't know if that was a good idea. But there were so many times last year where Dougie Hamilton had the like minimum wage employee in a service industry type body posture of fuck this shit. I hate this so much. I want to get out of here. And that was just after 1 year with the Devils.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm pretty sure he played with Graves and Siegenthaler a bit. Mainly Graves, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Damon Severson was definitely the best defenseman on that team, and that's saying a lot because he was scoring in his own net, like on by will, like most games. So like I don't. It was a rough season for him last year. I know, and obviously Heischer and Hughes had their little breakouts. I'm happy for Heischer as well because I know people were saying he shouldn't have been a top pick in that draft. Just stupid.
So the Devils right now have 8.7 million in cap space, and they still have to re-sign Bratt, and Wood.
Also, what Miles Wood's an assistant captain. I didn't know that.
Yeah. How the fuck do the Devils have only 8 million left in cap space, and have to still have to re-sign Bratt and Miles Wood?
Also, they signed Simon Nemec, so I'm assuming he might play next year. Now I don't know if that's the right call up, but he's a second overall pick, so he might have to. I like the Siegenthaler contract a lot. I think that's their best thing they've done all off season. Would be probably the Siegenthaler contract. Platt contract sucks. I'll be honest, it sucks. It's $6 million. I know Platt's good. And I know what he can bring. $6 million.
You're paying him to be on your first line.
I know, which I don't know if Palat's a first line. He's a top 6 winger. He can be on the first line when needed. I don't think you want maybe with a guy. Maybe I'm too harsh on him, but also I guess maybe with Jack Hughes, maybe Tatar on the right side. It's not that's serviceable.
So this team is paying almost $8 million for Thomas Tatar and Andreas Johnsson combined.
Johnsson wasn't even that bad last year. Same with Tatar. I don't know. Tatar is such a weird player because in some years he is so good, and in other years he's just healthy scratch the whole year, so you never know. So
to rate their off season, I think it's like
I gave him a D+.
I was gonna say C-.
I think.
But here's the thing: this team is on paper. This team is too good to be going in with a Vitek Vanacek and a Mackenzie Blackwood tandem.
And you probably have Jonathan Bernier, and there's probably someone down here. Nico Dawes as well. Nico Dawes. I don't know.
I don't know if Bernier is coming back because of his injuries and his health, but the fuck are we doing here?
Just bring up Holtz. Bring Holtz on the first line. Just bring Holtz up.
Play Holtz. Play Nolan Foote. Play fucking.
What's his name? I can't pronounce it. Where is it down here?
Shakir Makhmadulian.
Muka Madul, and on him too. And Nikita. I can't even pronounce Okatu. Yeah, whatever. Just bring all the prospects in, bro.
Bring up Tyler Witherspoon
Yo,
at this point too.
Put Geertsen on the first defensive pairing, bro. Just do it at this point. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah. So I got B-. You gave him a D+. D+.
Or a D+. I said B+. No, hell no, it's a D.
Hot take. New Jersey will finish with fewer points than Ottawa and Detroit.
That's not a hot take. I don't think.
That team. Lindy Ruff is coaching that fucking team.
Piss me off. Don't piss me off. I don't want to hear his name. The fucking Islanders. Let's go. I fucking hate. I don't know why. I don't know why I hear.
So this is like the reverse of like they haven't done fucking shit this
Yeah, so
offseason.
my first point here in my word doc is Islanders. Is Lou okay? Romanov for 13th. Is he trolling? Signing Salo is literally his only good signing. Why is Ross Johnston signed long term? How does this dumbass sign Pellick and Pulak for nothing and have Pageau and Palmieri make the same as them? That's my 5 points. That's all I have. And
So-
DiPietro's off the books.
So Lou with DiPietro's off the book. So so Lou is betting on this team that this team is better than what they were last year, and a new coach, more or less, a new coach is going to change that. And
Shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have been let go. I don't think.
I don't think so. But it, you know, word around the Islanders is that it sure sounds like they needed to make that move.
Yeah. This is it's rough. They didn't do anything. They got listen. I'm you know how much I like Romanov. That's a 13th overall pick. I'm a player the quality of Frank Nazar is more worth is better. You're getting better value from like a possibility of Frank Nazar being a star than you are of Romanov being your top pairing guy with Dobson. I don't know. I just don't like that Romanov trade at all for him. I think that's horrible. I genuinely think that's horrible. Like Robin Salo is a good contract. I don't know why he has so. I don't know why Lou has to sign every single player to like a fucking 10-year, $1 million deal. This you get 4 years by one. You get 6 by one. I don't understand it. I don't understand. And then they have to shave their beard the whole year. That's like don't. I'm getting mad.
So they have 11 million in cap space. They have to re-sign Dobson, Romanov, Kiefer Bellows.
And Bellows is probably just minimum. Like you're probably,
Yeah, I mean Bellows shouldn't cost too much.
Dobson and Romanov are the ones that you don't know about, and you only have 11 mil in there. You know, and you got Sorokin for another 2 years. Varlamov's leaving next year for sure. And you got Barzal. You know, it's I guess that money from what's his name can go to from Varlamov can go to Barzal, but then what do you have left for improving the team? I don't see this team doing anything. I'm sorry. Shout out Brock Nelson. He scored like 70 goals this year or something. I don't know, like 25% shooting, but like, you know, Josh Bailey, Pageau, Palmieri aren't doing it. You know, Bovilli is probably one of their better forward contracts, I would say. But I don't know. I don't mind the league contract too much as much as other. I think at the time it made sense. You got to lock up a guy that'll score you that many goals. I know it hasn't worked out since, but the Nelson, Bailey, Pageau, Palmieri thing isn't good, in my opinion.
The name
Wallstrom would do the same.
The name I keep hearing or keep seeing thrown out in like Islanders trade rumors is Wallstrom.
Which is, I don't think that makes sense though. That's like a 22-year-old guy who, he's obviously had so much upside from. I remember he's the guy who's like a kid star, right? Like he was such like. Yeah, so there's so much upside there, man. I know that's being just being cringe with that. Like, still, I think Wallstrom would do as maybe not as good as Palmieri right now, but like, yeah, give him the chance to. Hopefully, this new coach does. I don't put like his stunted growth on, if you can even call that on Trotz, but it's just the team around. I don't like the team build at all. I like the defensive build. I like Robin Salo, Mayfield bottom pairing, and then that top four of Romanov, Dobson, hypothetical Romanov, Dobson, Pellich, and Pulak. I think that's really good defensive pairing. It's just that forward core I don't like at all. The goalies are okay. Yeah. I'm being harsh here. I give Lou Lamoriello an F minus.
I mean, so far it's a D. But
I gave him F minus because someone had to. I gave people an A. I have to give someone an F.
I don't know if Lou is also, when it comes to the Wallstrom, I don't know if Lou is also that guy who thinks old school of like have to sell jerseys and have to sell tickets, and you got to have a young star who can do that. And Wallstrom's that like could be one of those guys, but like on those same levels, on that same level,
Yeah.
why not re-sign Matthew Barzell? Why not give
Yeah, and
him
by the way, I'm looking at he's never signed a guy to over $7 million. He's gonna have to do that next year. I don't know how he's gonna. I'm looking. He's literally only signed Lee and Barzell to $7 million contracts, and then he gave Kovalchuk the 10,000 years, $6 million contract.
you can trade Barzell.
Yeah,
You can do it. But if you're gonna do that, like you have to get so much for him, or you just immediately go in a rebuild and you call it, and you're done. And you're not gonna be like the old Islanders of scrounging out 2-1 overtime wins.
yeah. I don't know with this team. Yeah, I gave him my F minus. I'm being harsh, man. F minus. Yeah, I'm looking at his contract history. He has some good ones. Like he signed Morgan Riley to that really good deal. He signed Pulock and Pellich, those great deals. And then he also has Ryan Clough down here. And he also has Kadri down here with that really good contract. And he also has Zaitsev. So he's up and down with his contracts. But yeah, next year he's gonna have to pay some money, man. And I don't know how he's gonna deal with that.
And watch the Islanders Islander and just find their way into like the Eastern Conference Finals, and we both look like idiots.
I hope they do at this point, man. Just because I gave him an F minus. Rangers.
New York, the other one.
Better than the other team. They lost Georgiev. They bring Halak in. I think Trocheck's fine for Strome. Strome wasn't re-signing at all, but I don't like the contract necessarily, but it's best available, right? Because you're Trocheck. What Trocheck will probably put up is what Kadri might put up a bit more, but he's gonna want like $3 million more than Trocheck wants. I know it's 7 years, so it's a long term, but he's only 29. It's not gonna be as bad as a Kadri would have been, I think. I think that's a fine fit. You hope Lafreniere moves up a bit. Kako, hope works out for him. Well, I don't know why they continue to sign Libor Hayek. Fucking beats me, man. I don't know. What do you have?
The funny thing about the Rangers, looking at their cap friendly, is that they have currently 5 defensemen on their roster. 5 good defensemen. I like almost all 5 of those guys too. Really, really good guys.
I mean, I would assume it would probably be
Jared Tenorti.
No, God, no. One of either Zach Jones or Nils Lundqvist. I don't know which one. I would assume probably because they have 3 right T might be Zach Jones, and he looked fine because I watched a decent amount of Rangers. He looked fine. They have Igor locked up next 3 years. This is probably their window the next 3 years. So, Panarin's up in 4, and I know Zibanejad's not that big deal, but you probably have 3-4 years.
So, I like Trocheck. I think he probably more or less fits what they're looking for in terms of a second line center.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think it's a really good move. I don't like the no move clause, especially later on when it turns to 6 teams, but it's whatever. I hopefully, obviously, losing Kopp and Vetrano and Strome suck, but you might get Kravtsov back. You're gonna get Sammy Blais back, and hopefully Capo Caco signs. I think Drury did fine here.
I like the Ryan Carpenter signing too. Like I love the fact that that's like a league min deal for like a bottom six forward who will more or less be a pest if you get to the playoffs again, like people think you are.
I hope they don't play Dryden Hunt too much. No disrespect, just hey.
And I mean, Sammy Blade's gonna come back
because some games play really well. Then you realize Dryden Hunt. I'm hoping Kravtsov makes a return. I don't think Brennan Hoffman's quite ready yet. Maybe give him 2 more years and he might make it up. But yeah, I think I gave him a B.
I think a B is fine.
I had a B minus, but I think I really did. I think B minus. But B minus might be too harsh. B. I think it's always in my mind anytime I think of Rangers, and they got rid of Namath too. I'll give them that. I'll give them a B.
Yeah, I like that. A B is good. That seems like they didn't really. There wasn't a lot they needed to do. There wasn't a lot they had to do.
You probably want another winger, and they're like Kopp, and losing him was probably rough. But considering the circumstances, I think they did a good job. And then after this year, you got you got 4 million cap space that you had it going to D'Angelo, Girardi, and Shattenkirk. So that's more money coming in next year.
Yeah, Rangers B.
Good. Sens. Ottawa Senators. Here we go.
So this is, I mean, this is probably the this is how would I describe this? This is the
best they've looked since Heat Week.
Yeah, I was like, I was
since
they
made the finals. Since they made the finals.
Since they made the finals, this is like the most hope I've had in Ottawa. This is like the best I've felt about the Senators as an organization since they went to the finals.
Yeah, Brown sucks to lose a lot. Losing Connor Brown sucks because that is such a great player to have. Like, I think he's a guy like any team would want Connor Brown, especially for 3.6 mil. Anyone would do that.
If Ottawa were to make the playoffs this year, they would want Connor Brown on their team.
Yeah. They do have, their bottom six looks like, I don't think Formenton and Joseph are signed, but like, just like looking at their bottom six, it looks much more like their whole team looks better now, man. Formenton, Pinto, Joseph. You got your boy Parker Kelly on the fourth line too.
Oh yeah, I love me some Parker Kelly. Yeah, you got Formenton and Joseph that you got to re-sign, and Brandstrom. I
don't know what they do with Brandstrom here. I don't know about that one. Obviously, that trade didn't really work out for him with the Mark Stone thing, but I'm hoping it works out for Brandstrom, and I think Sanderson probably gets a chance too.
I feel like Brandstrom gets one more crack at it with Ottawa. I feel like again, he's 22 years old. But
it has been 4 years, like three years.
I get that, but I do feel like Ottawa. It's a different. I'm saying, like, I'm trying to convince myself that it is a different environment in Ottawa now, and it's not the same old Senators.
Yeah, fine, I'll give you that.
And I want to believe there's some faith or some belief in the organization that this is a different team and we want to give this guy a different opportunity, a different chance with a different expectation on him and on the team. But here's the thing. If Brandstrom cannot overtake Travis Hamonic, Artem Zub, actually, Zub was actually
no. Zub is probably one of their second best defensemen.
Yeah, Zub was actually good for them.
I would say it's Chabot, Zub, and then it would go to like Sanderson.
I was gonna say, like, if Brandstrom cannot overtake Zaitsev, Hamonic, Nick Holden, that's a problem. That's an issue, and maybe they just keep him on the roster next year because he is both a left and right D, but if he's not outplaying Zaitsev, Hamonic, Holden, that's extremely concerning.
Sanderson looked fine. I think Sanderson will be fine. I like they brought in Talbot just for that extra padding behind Forsberg. I think Forsberg can be Forsberg is what you think of like when you think of an average goalie. That's like Forsberg. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's as bad. People probably give him shit because he plays for Ottawa.
Ottawa's actually had some like decent goalies come through their organization with, Joey Daccord used to play for them, Forsberg, Gustafsson, yeah.
I want to put Hogberg on there, but next year they got like Stützle and DeBrincat to resign, and I think Chabot is locked up, but you got Zub, who's like your top 4 guy. You lose Hamonic and Holden, but you still have a bunch of dead cap, you have a bunch of buyouts, it's so I don't know. They're kind of strapped, but I think they can pull it off. Pierre Dorian's looking like a beast right now. Obviously, the DeBrincat trade we talked about. Murray's off the books for like free, essentially. I know they kept a bit, but really nothing. I would hope they sign Formenton and Joseph and Brandstrom. I like obviously Drew. I liked
Shane Pinto also like is going to be an RFA next year. I hope they bring back Pinto. Yeah. What's your grade?
I gave him an A. Might be a bit. I think it's that DeBrincat trade and the Giroux signing and DeBrincat trade. I do have a few things. I'm not gonna. I wrote Tyler Boucher and Zaitsev will make money this year. That's
correct. That's not wrong.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. But I know people don't like the Norris contract. I think it's fine. People don't understand how good he actually is. He might not be worth that contract, but he was their best forward last year, besides Batherson.
um, what was I gonna say with Ottawa, the the fact that they traded their first round pick was smart because, as I told SYP creator Scott, they would probably take some kid who was ranked 48th in the draft rankings from Minnesota Duluth with that, top 10 pick. So it's probably a good thing that they traded it away, but maybe it's different with the new organization. Um, I have them getting an A plus.
That's good. I'll move mine to an A plus too, just because I think I haven't given it. If I give it F minus, I'm giving an A plus. I'll do that.
Well, it's the Senators. The Senators don't ever do this. Like the Senators don't ever make multiple good moves in a row. That's just not who they are.
I think obviously like there's the big thing that happened, that the ownership and all that whole thing, but Pierre McGuire off the books might help as well. He's the guy. I'm assuming he's the guy who brought in Hamonic, and I know there's still rumbling about Myers. I hope that stays in Pierre Dorian's mind. If he brings Myers, I'm giving it a triple A plus.
The biggest addition by subtraction of all time is Pierre McGuire leaving the Senators. Is that a hot take?
Oh god. So polar opposites here. We're going to Philly.
I have no idea what the Flyers
are. They have Scott Lawton on the first line here.
Good God.
Kevin Hayes likes D'Angelo. They signed D'Angelo.
I'm gonna
sign Delorier to multi-year deal.
I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but can we start talking about how that Kevin Hayes contract sucks?
That's not shit, dude. I think it's just that's an underrated shit contract. I think that's a good take that you have, though. That's a horrible contract. It's it's actually terrible.
But nobody wants to say it because everybody loves Kevin Hayes and everybody people.
Well, I know it's like unfortunately what happened with Jimmy Broadway.
Yes, that is a really unfortunate incident and a really unfortunate situation, and I feel bad for the Hayes family. However, Kevin Hayes has the biggest cap of any forward, any player on the. I mean, there's Couturier. He has the second highest cap of anybody on the Flyers, and he has the highest cap of any forward.
Yes.
Not on IR.
He's never hit 50 points in the NHL,
and he's signed for 4 more years, and he's 30 now.
He's 34 when the contract's end, and he has a 12-team list. I don't think many teams will take that on. See, a team will take on Cam Atkinson at 35. No team's taking on Kevin Hayes at 34.
So that's just like what I'm like. I don't know. I was gonna say I don't know. People might not like that because of people like Kevin Hayes, but that contract.
I like Kevin Hayes, dude. I know he said the thing about Tony DeAngelo. I like Kevin Hayes still. Like you can't get mad at someone liking their own teammate. I don't think, right? Like you can't get mad at him saying like DeAngelo's a good guy or whatever. And there's people saying that was stupid. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's rough here, and obviously there's I'm hoping everything's good with Ivan Fedotov. There's like that whole stuff in Russia where like no one knows where he's at right now.
Yeah,
that's a bit rough. So like, and other thing is they don't have a backup goalie. So I don't know what Chuck Fletcher does there. I just wrote here Philly, so bad. This guy is so bad, and that's my only notes. So they signed DeAngelo. They have $10 million wrapped up in DeAngelo and Ristolainen, and they signed Tortorella. I gave him an F.
I've said this. I think I've said this before, but when it comes to team building, if you're not going to be good, at least be entertaining or chaotic.
That's what they're doing.
At least be talkative, and that's what the Flyers are doing by hiring Torts.
Switching my F to an A, like getting an A plus.
by bringing in Torts, by bringing in Tony DeAngelo, by doubling down on the fucking Rasmus Ristolainen trade, by giving him the extension. This team sucks, and I love Carter Hart, and this team.
What's your grade? It's
a D.
I gave him an F. Who did I give an F minus to?
Islanders.
I'll give him an I'll give them F because they actually did stuff. I'll give them F minus because they didn't do anything. F is like they did stuff.
Why does anybody feel the need to give Nick Delorier a 4-year contract?
Yeah. Shout out to him, bro. Shout out to Nick Delorier. He got Turb. That's insane. Penguins, Pittsburgh, a bit better here. I like the Ruda signing. First off, I'll give him that. I heard people didn't like that. I think that was a fine signing. Obviously,
The people who did like it though was Alan Walsh, his agent.
Yeah. He has like a thing going through his bag, like the flurry picture where it's with Ruda and Tampa. Joking.
I'm assuming he has. Maybe he uses Fiverr.
Letang signed 6. Sorry, Letang signed 6 years. I did not recognize that.
Yeah, he did 6 years.
Well, I guess they're going all in. Next 2 or 3 years here.
They're running it back. They're bringing the band back together,
which I agree with. Which I think they should do because you don't really stand a chance. You're not going to you shouldn't rebuild now. You shouldn't you have Gensel in his prime. You still have Crosby playing as good as he does, and now you get Gino for $6 million. No point to rebuild yet. You might as well keep running it. I don't mind Jari. I know he's up next year. They have Jack Johnson on the book for the next 4 years too.
I was gonna say I would rather fail with those guys than fail with somebody else.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think you trade Crosby for. I don't think you ever trade Crosby. I know even if you're shitting the bed in the last year's contract, you don't trade him. I know he has a no move clause, right? But I don't think Crosby would even accept the trade. I like what they did this offseason. I don't mind. I know Letang and Malkin are old, but you're running it back. Whatever you have to deal with later is later. But I don't know. I like the Ruda signing. I guess Tokarski's okay. Kajula's depth. Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Who else? How am I forgetting his name? It's here somewhere. Raquel.
Yeah, they got Raquel extended too.
I don't like Kapanen. I like Kapanen. I follow him on Instagram. I saw his picture today. Okay, I like him. At 3.2 is a lot for him. I hope he fulfills it. And Danton Heinen is on a good deal. He signed today, I think. Yeah, I like what they did. I like getting. I don't mind the Marino thing. They kind of had to do it, and Marino didn't really live up to. I think lived up to the contract, but maybe not what they wanted. So getting Ty Smith is a young defenseman who's been good in this league. He just sucked last year. Not bad.
Yeah, and I don't know.
I think they did. I give them a B plus because I think they did just what they were expected to, which doesn't happen much.
I also gave them a B plus because we kind of knew what they needed to do. They did it, and we'll see if it works. I don't know that it will, but
I hope it does. I obviously want to see Crosby win one more, man. Everyone wants to Crosby. I hope they get one good run at it, how Joe did, Marleau.
I think
not Marleau, but was he on that team? Was Marleau on that team?
Yeah, before? He was
on. Then Lou signed him.
Yeah, I feel like Marleau had a run with Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, San Jose.
Or San Jose, yes.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I think it would be really funny because Washington has, since Washington won the cup, right? The Caps have been doubling down on their old players, and now Pittsburgh is doubling down later with those same players. I think it would be hilarious if Washington lost to Pittsburgh again, or Pittsburgh made a cup before Washington did, because they both have more or less done the same thing, but Pittsburgh is just doing it later with, I don't know about better players, but more exciting players.
Yeah, B plus. You had a B plus too, right?
B plus, yeah.
Sharks. I like the. First, before we get into the Sharks, I like that they brought in Mike Greer. I don't like that they brought in David Quinn, but yeah. What you got anything for?
So, they're not rebuilding.
They should be,
but they also are at the same time.
It's weird.
So they traded Brent Burns, which was probably not a bad thing. They still.
But I like the Geeky trade, by the way. I liked it for both sides. I think that trade because you got 27th, 34th, and a 45th. Philip Bystad ain't bad.
No, and I mean,
that's just more prospects and this again. The thing with draft is like what if Geeky doesn't hit? At least you have 3 other attempts on guys. And then like after like it was really like after 10, it was kind of like a crapshoot. You could have picked anybody. So I liked it. I don't mind that.
Well, with San Jose, so you got rid of Burns. Now you have to get rid of Vlasic and Carlson, I would think. No,
I
because
I, I I don't think Carlson's movable. Vlasic, I don't think any of them. Well, Carlson literally has a no move clause. A 3-team trade list for Vlasic. Hey, okay, yeah, I don't know how well you're gonna move these guys, man. Oof. They also have to sign Mario Ferraro. I don't know about Jonah Gadjevich and Gregor. I don't think that's the biggest deal to them, but they got money.
They got Luke Kunin, like we talked about, Lindblom,
They
Nico
also have,
Sturm.
they have a few guys on the books. I don't know why they bought out Rudolph Spalsers. I think that was
That was a weird one too.
Yeah, because that's just 300K next year. But I guess it's only 8K this year. But Rudolph Spalsers wasn't bad. Martin Jones, that's gonna suck for a while, and same with Burns. But you have to do things to get rid of those bad contracts. I don't know about them. I signed Kakinen. I like moving down pick. Sturm, Lindblom, Nudavar is good depth, but nothing much.
I got a B minus.
Yeah, B minus. I don't know. Maybe it'll probably take a bit for Mike Grier to get through ownership, and maybe he's getting locked down by them. But I don't know. It's not San Jose. Doesn't look like a team that's going to be doing much soon.
No, and I honestly think they're destined to rebuild and acquire assets, and I don't know how, but they probably should look in moving Carlson and Vlasic if they can make it happen.
I don't think it's possible. I think you're kind of just stuck with it, which is unfortunate. But if Mike Grier's the best GM if he does this, by the way, like he's the best GM of all time.
Or what about Logan Couture? That was like I think like 2 years ago. That was like one of the worst GM jobs you could have was the San Jose job.
Yeah,
and now it's still not great, but you got Couture for another 5 years at $8 million.
And you have to sign Timo Meier next year, and he's wanting who's comparable? I guess Rantanen was taking right after him. That's not quite the same player, but that's money. That's $8 million he's gonna want.
So yeah, what do we say? Both B minus.
B minus. I'm not gonna give Grier any shit because he just kind of got thrown in there. We can probably speed through these last ones here. We got Seattle up next.
The Kraken. What's Kraken in Seattle?
I like a lot of them. I mean, Burakovsky are getting right as well. But that's not really up to them. But Burakovsky's a good deal, man. I know it might be a bit much for some, but 61 points last year, I'm pretty sure. And then you got Bjorkstrand for free. I'm gonna call it for free, third, fourth. That's free.
Yeah, that's the closest thing to free that you're gonna find.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand, you don't have to rely on Yanni Gourde being your top scorer.
Yeah, that's helpful.
And with Bjorkstrand, you don't have to rely on as much as I love Jared McCann, you don't have to rely on Jared McCann being your top centerman.
Yeah, I like what Ron Francis done here. I mean, Jones is kind of a weird goalie bringing in. Now you have 3 there.
Well, they're bringing in Jones because Drieger is not going to be healthy by the time the season starts.
I just think you could have made a move for a competent goalie, right? It's just so he's not good. Come on, you know he's not good.
Yeah, it's a tough look.
It's a tough look, but you're just gonna hope Grubauer bounces back here. I think okay. Law of average, you can't be as bad as he was that last year. He's gonna be good. Is my thought process.
The Flames, not the Flames. The Kraken goaltending / defense will be better next year. That's my take. I just don't know how much better they're going to be. Instead of are they now going to be top 20 goaltending instead of bottom 3?
Yeah. Forward core looks pretty nice. I'll give them considering what it looks much better now with Bjorkstrand, Burakovsky, Wright, and Beniers. But yeah, the backside is definitely something Ron Francis needs to work on.
Yeah, that defense is
Yeah.
what like
I like
Jamie
I like
Alex
yeah.
Jamie Alexiak and Vince Dunn being your top D men. That's a tough sell, I think.
Yeah, Will Morgan and Carson Susie's a bit rough, but I like the Michael Kempney, the Donato, and the Geeky. I gave him a okay. This might be a bit of a hot take. Here you go. This is probably my biggest hot take. I gave him
Yeah.
an A minus.
Ooh,
I
I like
because
that
my
one.
but the reason why is like you see what Vegas has done as an expansion. It's mostly because they're an expansion team. That's mainly the reason why I'm like this is how an expansion team should be built. It shouldn't be slow or it should be fast. It should be much slower. And the fact that they got Bjorkstrand and Burakovsky for without giving up any assets essentially, like but any players that are on the team are like going to be on the team within the next year. They didn't give up anything, and they got two top six wingers for free.
I also feel like there is some sort of perception on this team as being not good because of how they handled the expansion draft.
Yeah.
And since then, it's like, oh, this team doesn't know what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought they had a decent trade deadline of trades. Like they got rid of Giordano and why can't I'm blanking, but I
Yeah, I'm
know
blank.
the Giordano move. I thought that was a fair trade. Now it's like
Appleton, Lausanne,
the
Yarncroak.
the fact that they got assets for Jeremy Lauzon really speaks
Yeah,
waves
and
to
then
the
yeah, that's like the what was I gonna say? That's like the Ristolainen like light trade where you get him and then you're like, oh wow, this guy we kind of have to like deal with him now. Let's resign him. You don't, but let's keep him.
So
I'll give him A minus. What do you have?
I have a B plus, and I'm also excited to see Brandon Tanev and Ryan Donato.
Well, I'm hyped. I was really unfortunate he got injured there last season, but I'm happy. I like Brandon. Who doesn't like Brandon Tanev?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be honest. I didn't like the contract when Pittsburgh signed it originally, but now that he's in Seattle, I'm like, hell yeah, brother, let's go. And Seattle, I think next year are going to at least look into doing a rate Beniers 1-2. Not in that like Beniers right, I guess is how that would go.
Yeah.
But
that won't be too bad.
That's pretty, for being an expansion team, that's a pretty good
that's good. Like that's how you should do it, not like how Vegas where they trade away Suzuki. But let's go to St. Louis. St. Louis, they haven't I don't know. It's weird here. They got obviously Thomas locked up. Nick Leddy, man, that's rough. A bunch of guys. Like they got Perunovich, Mikula, Costin, Walker, and then Grice. And shout out to this guy named Hugh McKing.
I totally didn't forget that Noel Acciari was a real person.
Yeah. Is he on this team? He is. Yeah. Same. They signed Torpachenko, Logan Brown. There's nothing much. I think that it was good that they got some assets back for Hughes. So Highmore's good. I like him. I like him as a Canuck. I think it'll be the hardest working fucking guy on this team, man. I'll tell you that. Grice ain't bad as a backup, I guess. Sometimes it just there wasn't much of improvement. And this is probably the last year because Tarasenko's leaving, and then I don't know if O'Reilly stays, and maybe I don't know. I guess maybe I shouldn't call him out yet, but like it's the last year with like a decent core. You're losing Vlad Tarasenko, your leading scorer is gonna suck. I'll give you that.
There's a lot of contracts that are up next season. Even Jordan Kyrou is an RFA next year.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like there's a lot of contracts, and maybe you trade away Brendan Saad or something here, but I don't know if that even gives you enough money for a bunch of these guys. I always like the Torrey Krug signing. I think them much better. I think that they're probably happy to sign Krug instead of Pietrangelo now. I would say I think that's probably been the best thing that they've done. But then he signed Nick Leddy on top of that. Scandella is 3.2. Like those guys aren't that worth that money. But who am I? Who am I to judge at this point, man? I don't know what. And I don't know anything about NHL GMs at this point. They gave Goodbranson 4, man.
I like even St. Louis. I like their defense with Falk, Krug.
Falco had a great season this year. All their four.
I was gonna say I like Parayko. I don't know that because I think Dom mentioned him as like a top 10 worst contract in the league.
Yeah, it's starting. It's just kicking in now, that extension, which is a bit rough. But Parayko, like objectively, is a good player. He's just like the defensive guy. He's like he's just like a top 4 defenseman who you want just be. I don't even know. I don't know how to put it in words. It's like in my mind, I was like thinking of like big right-handed. That's why I couldn't say anything. I was like, anytime I think of big right-handed defenseman, I just think of Myers instantly, and it fucks my brain up.
Would you rather have Colton Parayko or Darnell Nurse with their current contracts?
How old's Darnell Nurse right now?
Isn't Darnell Nurse almost 29 himself?
Oh gosh, I'd take Parayko. I'll take Parayko.
Darnell Nurse, according to Wikipedia, according to Wikipedia, Darnell Nurse is 27.
Okay, maybe I'll take Nurse. So it won't be now, so I'll take Nurse. I gave him a C+. There wasn't really much that he did, so give him an average grade.
Yeah, I'll give him a C because I don't know that they necessarily upgraded their goaltending.
Yeah.
I don't know that Nick Leddy is a $4 million D-man.
Yeah, that's real bad. Yeah, I'll run with my C+ for now. I like some of the depth signings, I guess.
I will say I don't know. I love Robert Thomas, but I don't know if
he's
worth $8 million.
Him and Norris are in similar things there, where it's like they better live up to that contract. It's gonna look pretty rough.
Well, now expectations have changed for those players too.
Yeah.
Where like now, like Thomas has to be what, a 70, 80 point player.
Yeah, which he was on pace for that last year, from what I remember. He won't be I'm not gonna give him any clout here unless he actually was.
Well, and
I'm pretty sure like 70 points or something. He had 77 and 72. Never mind, he had more than I thought. He has over a point per game. Yeah, if he's like that, that's a good contract.
And like we've all been saying on the internet this week, those bubble seasons don't count because they're not real. Mickey Mouse hockey.
Speaking of bubble seasons, we'll go to Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa, I thought that'd be a great transition.
So they sign, obviously they lose a few players here. But you get Sergachev, you get Cirelli, Cernak locked up. Sergachev's a lot of money for a guy who hasn't proven much. Cirelli and Cernak is fine. I like the Nemestikov signing. You got, I don't know about Killorn anymore after that playoff run he had. It was horrible. He was pretty bad. He's almost like a non-factor. I don't mind the Nick Paul trade or the deal. Sorry, 7 years at 3.1. It's not like the highest cap hit, but it's also just money that could. That's just money. I don't know if you want to be given out for that long, especially for a team that you don't know how long the window is. Where you're giving guys 7-year deals. I should play as. I'm being mean to Nick Paul because he's actually really good, but you shouldn't be giving Nick Paul that sort of deal right now.
There's no reason to give Nick Paul 7 years. Like,
yeah.
They didn't lose. I mean, Palat, yes, but like losing McDonough and Ruda is not really, I think, like major loss of consequences. Like, I think those guys are replaceable. It's probably not going to be as easy to replace Palat, but I think if anybody can do it, it's Tampa. They'll find a way.
Yeah, they'll find somebody. Don't worry, dude. Brandon Hagel will be the best player in the NHL this year. I guarantee
Nick Paul's going to go get 60 points, and we're all going to look like idiots.
I gave Brisebois a B here for this.
I gave him a B-.
B-, yeah, it's not bad. I point kicks in this year too, so that's all like where a lot of the money goes. I think it says $7 million below the cap, but I don't know if that actually factors in Seabrook. So I don't know, but
they already Tampa Bay already has their core. Like they already have their guy. They like.
I think it's fine. I think they're just gonna run it back again with the same guys, which I don't know. Maybe like maybe you just gotta hope for. I guess Tampa hopes that one of those guys like Hagel or Nick Paul step up a bit. Toronto.
Yeah.
What?
Huh.
Yeah, so the Maple Leafs. Yeah, they're definitely a hockey team for sure. They're definitely a hockey team with goalies. Um, so some of the depth signings, which that's all they do, I guess, is all big, low risk contracts is what they call them in Toronto. Engvall, Yarncroke. Yarncroke's a guy who can play all throughout, right? So that's obviously not bad. It's a long term, but maybe I guess you're outbidding other teams for a guy like Yarncroke. Mete and Ben's fine, whatever. Obi Cabell is cool. And I guess the goalie Samsonov, and then they traded for Murray. It's for I imagine Kerfoot's gone, right? Like I imagine Kerfoot's probably out of town soon, which I don't know who would replace him there, especially with losing Mikheyev. I wouldn't want Engvall or Yarncroke up there. I'll tell you that. Um, I don't know what they're doing in Toronto. What do you have?
I I don't totally believe the moves for goaltending.
I think I'm more optimistic than you are. It is rough to bet on a guy who hasn't been good in a few years. Two guys who haven't been good in a few years. It's a bit rough.
And I hope I'm wrong. Like I hope those guys do really well, but
Yeah.
that's not a bet I would make. Um, you know, they have a lot of good depth pieces. Yeah, like you say, Kerfoot's probably gone at
Yeah,
even
Nick Robertson. I'm assuming Nick Robertson steps up into that position at this point.
probably even Engvall at like 2.25.
Oh, what he did last year is really good. I don't mind that too much. But
I don't know if there's an Engvall.
it's like they just signed him to it though, so I don't know if
I know, but
it is a UFA, so it is. So there is possibility of him leaving anyways.
But I'm just trying to think of the player that I was talking about earlier, who was like he's more valuable to us than he will be.
Oh, Hronek.
Hronek, yeah, where it's just like, yeah, like Pierre Engvall is more valuable to the Toronto Maple Leafs than he will be to any other team who acquires him.
This is, I'll be honest, this is my hot take. This is Toronto's last year. This is their last year with this core. If they don't get it done, I know they have one more year with Matthews. They won't do it. They can't do it. It's like impossible. They won't have Bunting, because Bunting is gonna want money, and not much is coming off the books, man, to sign him. This is what happens when you put 40% into three players. This is gonna happen. Like this is gonna happen.
Well, 40% into three players, and the cap doesn't rise for like 5 years.
50% into four if you put in Riley, right? Like that's 50. Half your thing is going to four players, and given those four players are great, but this is what happens now. You're cap strapped, and there's always those like the past 2 years where they're really their golden era, I would say, and the first year they choked against Habs, and then that was like, which I'll never understand. That's literally a plate, like a golden plate to the fucking conference finals. But the second round, or the second year last year, where against Tampa, that was just, I guess, unfortunate circumstances. They have to play against the best team in the East. Yeah, this is really Toronto's last chance here, and I don't think they've done enough to solidify them having another good chance. I think last year's team is much better than this. I obviously got Gio for a good deal. Liljegren. They still got Sandin to sign, so I'm assuming Hole and Kerfoot are out.
I'm kind of with you. I really have a tough time. I have a tough time believing that if Toronto loses in the first round again, there's Kyle Dubas sitting at the podium like, "Hey, let's run it back, boys." It's like, no.
This is Kyle Anderson. My gosh, my body goes. I saw Joey Anderson and I just thought of my mind's running in slow mo like Kyle Anderson's fucking shot form, bro. But yeah, this is last year for Dubas, and I possibly Keefe too. Yeah, I gave him a C plus, which also might be very, very nice, but a C plus because I think I'm optimistic on the Murray move. I think it's nice to have balls just like that. I think it's good to have balls like that in hockey, but maybe that might be pushing the limits.
That's not the guy I would put my balls on the table for.
Yeah, but that's a two-time champ as a rookie. One of the only players ever to win two championships, man, as a rookie. Let's go to what do you have?
What did you say? You gave them a C,
C plus.
C
Oh, that's
plus.
nice.
I'll give them a C because like
It is.
I need to see it before I can
Yeah.
actually believe that this team is going to be as good, if not better, than last year's team.
Hey, let's go to Vancouver Canucks here.
Vancouver.
So damn, we haven't done
I
any
hear this
trades.
Curtis Lazar kid is good.
Yeah, he wants to be here, man. He wants to be here, and we signed a 3 years, $1 million, so he can't complain. Obviously, the big one here is Mikheyev and Kuzmenko. Obviously, Kuzmenko's fine. Like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it does, that's great. I want to give you my grade first, actually.
Sure.
I gave him a B, which I feel like is a bit high as well. But I'm very high. I think Mikheyev can definitely be a player that could be on the second line and contribute 50 points. But again, I think it's one of those things where you have to overpay for players in this league, and that's what you have to do for Mikheyev. This is only good if you can get rid of Pearson, Dickinson, and Garland, like one of those three players. And then you're gonna obviously have to trade Miller later in the year. If I'm not gonna be too mad if they let Miller walk. I won't be too, especially if we get if we even get to the second round with Miller, I would be perfectly fine with that. But I don't know how possible that is. What do you have?
I think they're a playoff team.
Ooh,
like
I don't even know if I believe that.
I would have told you that last year too, because I just like
I believed it last year.
I don't know. Like, I'm not a Canucks fan, obviously, but like I look at this roster and it's like with Petey, Besser, Horvat, Miller, Garland, Mikheyev,
Hoglander, Pearson, Dickinson,
Hoglander, Podkolzin. Like, defense, it's not good, but you have Thatcher Demko. I just think this team up front is
it looks, the forward core is beautiful, man. And considering for a team that was so bad defensively, you had really good 5-on-5 defense. I think
it got better. It got better after Boudreau took over.
And Boudreau was here since the start, we would have been a playoff team. And we would have given Edmonton and or Calgary one for their money.
Well, and Boudreau is not necessarily a defensive coach like we think.
Yeah.
And the team,
he's got Ovechkin to 65 goals. He is not a defensive coach.
Yeah. So I think this team is good enough to make the playoffs.
Dude, he got Pedersen from his worst season ever to a career high. I think that's a good win.
Mikheyev, that's a deal similar to like Sherratt. And
it's like a Sherratt comparable, but forward edition, I would say. But I don't think it's too bad. But Allvin has work to do, and I think he knows that. This is definitely a big year for the Canucks. So this is one, in recent memory, this is as big as it gets for the Canucks, because you're losing your highest scorer the past few seasons, probably at the end of the season if you don't trade him. You're gonna sign Bo, probably wants like 6-7 mil, so you can't keep Miller. You obviously want to. I know there's some Canucks fans that think Kuzmenko will replace Miller. Chill, he's good, but he ain't that good, I don't think. I hope he is. That'll be fucking great if Kuzmenko's just Kaprizov number 2, but he's older than Kaprizov, and I don't think he will be that. I know Panarin came in pretty late, but Panarin I don't think had the upside, or Kuzmenko doesn't have the upside that Panarin had when he came here.
What did you say the grade was for the Canucks? What was the grade you gave them?
I gave him a B, because I think I don't mind Allvin going for it, but they also got you got Lazar, Kuzmenko, and you signed Besser again, right? And there's a bunch of, where's the depth signings out here? I don't mind the depth signings. Like, I don't know if Rathbone makes it up next year, but I don't mind like Dakota Joshua and Mike Kalanick and all those guys. I'll give him a B just because I give him credit for I have to consider Jim Benning into all this because he still has to deal with Myers, Ekman Larson, and all that. So I give Allvin and Rutherford a bit of leeway with that. I'll give him a B.
I give him a C+ in that
I have to be a homer, man.
Obviously, and I don't know that there was a lot that they were going to do. I think the biggest thing that they have going on right now is Miller, and they don't seem to have the right move to get rid of him, so they're not going to, which is, I'm sure, probably frustrating fans because we all love content and we'd all love something to talk about.
And I like it's weird because like when JT Miller gets traded, he won't get booed by Canucks fans. I don't think because it's not his fault. I think everyone like, or if he leaves, like I think everyone still appreciate what he did for us. Yeah, I'll give him a B. You'll give him a C plus. I think that's B minus is realistically probably the best. Like I think B minus C plus is probably the most realistic. But I gotta have hope in my team there.
Well, good for you.
Speaking of team with the opposite, I guess, of team with hope is the Vegas Golden Knights. This team is fucking shambles, man. They signed Sakari Manninen, 30-year-old from Finland, I think. Riley Smith, Brett Howden is getting paid money, and Michael Hutchins is also getting paid money. He signed Spencer Fu from China, and yeah, that's about all they've done. They did. Then they had some trades, obviously. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this patch. I'm like tired, and I'm looking at the patch already traded. I'm just getting angry. Like I don't even have the power to let it all out. I'm hot, tired, and looking at Pacioretty getting traded for free.
Hey, well, clearing that cap space meant, they re-signed Riley Smith.
They got Shea Weber, obviously. Yeah, they signed Riley Smith. Oh my gosh. So Nicholas Waugh hasn't been signed. This is horrible. This is just poor. They don't have a backup, I don't think. Is Brassard still the backup? Never mind. They still have him. 2.3. I gave him a D minus.
I think I give him a D because of the fact that just it's brutal out here, and they're absolutely making a mess of the salary cap, their team, whatever. Yeah.
Bring up Brendan Brisson, and I'll give it an A. Just let him play, man. I'll give it a D as well, just because they brought in Bruce Cassidy, which is an upgrade from DeBoer, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's about the best thing that Vegas did all off season.
I'm assuming actually Logan Thompson's probably the backup. If they don't give Logan Thompson the backup, that's actually no, they won't because it's Vegas. Yeah, I'm gonna give.
What are the cap implications about that?
Yeah, he has 3 years. 3 years at $700K. Like, whatever. Yeah, Logan Thompson should be their backup. Honestly, like the way Blainer was playing last year, he's probably their starter again. But yeah, I'm gonna give him a D minus.
I'll give him a D.
Capitals here. We've got Washington. So yeah, kind of that thing we talked about with Pittsburgh here again.
So they got rid of both of their goalies last year.
Yeah.
And instead of bringing in Darcy Kemper and Lindgren to be the backup, thank you. I like the addition of Connor Brown. I like the addition of Dylan Strome.
RFA next year, Dylan Strome. So that's good for them as well. Just to have that extra.
I think it's kind of just a basic thing of like they just added talent. Like they just added good players. They just got better because they added good players. Now it depends, and it remains to be seen what's to be made of Darcy Kemper in a full-time job to himself role with Washington, which is a fine but not great defense.
Well, Darcy Kemper's been like actually one of the best goalies in the past few years. I know that playoff run, but dude, he got poked in the eye and it was like visibly, like you could tell he was worse after it, and like he was blind for a few days. Obviously, it's gonna probably cause an effect to a person who's like a goalie, right? A 32-year-old getting that contract isn't the worst at this point, like because everyone's doing it now, so it's not even that bad.
Yeah.
A lot of contracts up next year. It's literally Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Oshie, Mantha, and then the rest of them are up. Besides McMichael and Dowd, and Carlson, every contract's almost up next year. So big year for him this year. And I mean Tom Wilson and Backstrom too, but Backstrom's probably out the whole year. Tom Wilson's probably back. Hagelin, I don't know about him. You probably want to get rid of that contract. But yeah, I don't know. It's I don't mind the Kemper thing. Strom's really good signing. I don't know why they like fucking Marcus Johansson so damn much. I don't know what they see in him, man. They did the stupid Sprong for Johansson trade, which I'll never understand. And then they doubled down on it because he's been here before. He was on the cup winning team or whatever. Was he even on that team?
I feel like it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know he was on
he was
Boston the next year when they lost.
he was picked up in Seattle.
Yeah, and then they brought him back. Like Washington just likes bringing their players back, like they do with VTech and him. But whatever. I'll give him because I think they played. I think they did really well with bringing like a bunch of depth and also like Gustafson, Lucas Johansson, not too bad either. It doesn't hurt to have Eric Gustafson on the team. I think as long as you don't overplay him, it doesn't hurt. But I'll give him a.
It's a Jordy Ben thing of like he has to be on your bottom line. Well, he has to be on your bottom pair. A Jordy Ben of like he has to be on your bottom pair, and if he's in your top four, you're fucked. And anything below that is quite sufficient for him.
I'll give him a B plus. I'll give him a B plus. I really like a lot of the moves they made. Kind of no, I shouldn't say going all in for this year, but like they're definitely want to win it soon. If they have, if that's all they have, you kind of have to win it soon, to be honest.
What was your grade for Washington?
B plus.
All right. I'll go B plus. They know what they are. They have their goalie of the future, and they're just gonna go for it.
Last but not least, the Winnipeg Jets.
Can we skip this team?
Yeah, I was about to say they have the Dubois thing where they signed him barely. What is this? What's the lineup looking like for this?
They're according to ESPN, and I could be wrong, but this is a week ago, so this is July 21st is when this article when they talk about the offseason moves. The key player added on Winnipeg is David Rittich.
I just saw it. David Rittich, Ashton Sautner, Canuck. He went to Thatcher Demko's wedding. I saw. And then Dubois, and then Jansen Harkin signed. Kevin Stenlund.
What the fuck is this team? They're not going to be good next year. This team's gonna suck, right?
It sucks, dude. Free Connor Hellebuck, bro. Dude, just it's so sad seeing like a 29-year-old, one of the best goalies of the generation, just be wasted in Winnipeg. I'm so sorry to say that. Like that sounds mean, but that's just what's happening. And I know that you could say the same thing with Ehlers and Connor, but like. It is pretty rough. Like Connor Hellebuck deserves a better defensive core than having Josh Morrissey as his best defenseman. I'm sorry. I think I hate on Josh Morrissey a lot. He's much better this year. He's really good. That contract's a bit rough, but it's just free Connor Hellebuck, man. that should be the name of the podcast at this point. They got Rick Bonus in. They got Rick Bonus. They got David Rittich. Dude, I just wrote my last thing in this whole document. Just says trade top 6 and restart.
I was gonna say with Winnipeg, they made the most uninspiring head coaching hire. And that's saying something because Florida got rid of Andrew Burnett and brought in Paul Maurice. But Winnipeg went this Rick Bonus route because sure, why not? And God damn it, the Jets stink. That's a team. That's a team that's a team that's gonna finish 21st next year. They're gonna try and get in the lottery, and they're gonna suck.
I gave him a D minus. Kevin shoveled day offs in a different world right now. I'm pretty sure he's not paying attention to this team.
Again, one of my favorite jokes. They don't even have an airport in Winnipeg. So
were they not?
No, they actually do. But the thing is that there's enough people in hockey who are willing to believe that joke. So
I just searched. I can't believe I searched that up. That's like I saw that meme. This is the last thing I'll say. It's just like I saw that meme where it's like it was on hockey Reddit. It's like closest arenas where NHL teams play with the closest Costco. And like Canucks are obviously first, right?
Yeah.
And then Buffalo's closest one. It said like Rochester. The closest one was in like St. Catharines.
Yeah, it was in Canada. Was the closest one.
Like, I don't know how Buffalo doesn't have one, but then like I'll go to I was going to the map in LA because I'm like not moving there. I'm going there for a few days, and like around my hotel there's like 4. And I'm like, dude, how does Buffalo probably has the same amount of people and that's like there and like similar, maybe not population density, but man, I'm just like, how is there not one Costco there? Yeah, it's 1 a.m. Maybe we should stop talking about Costco.
I agree.
I gave D minus. What'd you give Jets?
I'll go the Jets a D because fuck them. That's why. I do not care about this team. I have no interest in watching Winnipeg Jets hockey, and
Patrick Laine was the only reason I liked watching him. I'll be honest with you, and I don't even like watching him anymore.
Well, and like Scheifele's now gonna act like Jonathan Toews, where it's just like, yeah, no, I don't like where this team's heading. I don't like the rebuild, and it's like, motherfucker, you haven't won shit.
Yeah,
you haven't won.
That's the thing. At least Toews has a reason. Scheifele doesn't. Scheifele and Dubois both have no reason to be this angry, but whatever.
Pierre-Luc Dubois, like 2 years before his like contract is up or whatever, before he gets like a UFA status, it's like, yeah, guys, I want to play for Montreal, and it's like, God. I'd like a girlfriend. That doesn't mean we can't all have things that we want. All right, like,
yeah, man. Well, yeah, that was us for that part, that whole rating teams. I've gotten progressively warmer and tired during this whole process.
We might just call that an episode. We might do a part 2 later.
Because it's 1 a.m. on the 28th now. We might have to.
We might call it we'll call this one a wrap, and then we'll do a part 2. Probably, I don't know, whatever your schedule is later this week.
Yeah.
That's the pod. We reviewed NHL teams.
Unfortunately, we had to end with like the worst teams, the most boring teams. Unfortunately, guys, we're sorry if you're still here at this point. We ended with the Winnipeg Jets.
I was gonna say, if you're a Jets fan who listened to this entire episode just to hear what we had to say about your team, and then you hear us just shit on your team without providing anything all that constructive and anything useful.
It's like 1 a.m. and I hate your team, and you guys like have the most boring everything. So like, obviously, I'm gonna have to.
L plus ratio plus your mom plus
Scheifele's leaving plus Dubois leaving
plus Scheifele's leaving plus Dubois leaving plus you lost the Laine trade. Plus, your city doesn't have
Dubois for Roslovic was already a bad enough trade. I think losing Patrick Laine on top of that made it even worse.
Plus your defense of core is Josh Morrissey, Nate Schmidt, Neil Pionk, Brandon Dillon, Dylan DeMello.
Dylan DeMello is their best defenseman. That's my hot take.
That's the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. You know where to check us out: Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can watch the full video pod on YouTube. We'll be back again soon. Probably do a part 2, discuss more hockey. We'll do more summertime, conversations on pods where it's just more fuck around instead of actually like providing useful information. Rav, any final thoughts? Anything else before we head out here?
No, Canucks, go. I'm tired.
All right. Thank you very much for listening. Greatly appreciate it. We'll be back again soon. Peace out.
Peace.